Listen to the words of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wyllie on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Arkansas, Orlando, Florida, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Fresno, California, Berlin, Germany, and anywhere else that you're listening to the show. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, Hernando County and Orange County's favorite, most loved libertarian, Danielle Alexandre. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I like that we're adding to the infamy.
Adding to the infamy. That would be probably a good way of looking at it tonight. Causing a scene might be another way, but
Losing my mind.
One of those things. What can you do? Also in studio, working the boards as he does so well, Libertarian Greg, also known as Knobs, also known as Schnugens.
And Tiger.
Greg Bowen, how you doing this morning?
Spectacular. How you doing?
Very, very well. Very, very, very well. I can't lie. Actually, no, I'm pretty mad, to be honest with you.
I'm furious.
Let's get right into this.
Let's do it.
Well, first, if anyone would like to call into the program, the Refresh Telecom studio line, 1-800-525-4032. That's 1-800-525-4032.
He's absolutely right. That is the number. You're 100% correct. Let me first off say a couple things before we get into this, because this is what I pitched. I talked about. I put it on Facebook last night. Talked about it a little bit back and forth in the chat, but I wanted to say this. I wanted to make these statements first and foremost, so that people have a clear understanding. Because one of the reasons that I have not done this in the past is because, well, quite frankly, a lot of times I don't think people even can. Not that people can't understand this because they're dumb or something, but that people just didn't understand. So I want to first off say that Campaign for Liberty, most of the members of Campaign for Liberty are there for good reasons. They believe in doing something in a nonpartisan way, and that they join that organization because that's what that organization touts to be. And because it was made, after the Ron Paul campaign, and they used the campaign funds to make Campaign for Liberty, that they put this together to appeal to the nonpartisanness of people. And if you talk to Greg, one of the things that even Greg talked about, which, it lends itself to this, is that people are looking for ways in which you can get past all this party crap and then just kind of find one organization that people can belong to, that party doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Fair statement?
Absolutely.
And I agree with that, by the way. I actually, look, I'm a member of the Libertarian Party. I'm a vice chairman officer in the party. I want people to join the Libertarian Party. But I viewed for a long time C4L as an organization in which you could go and find people of like mind and work together on issues that you find they're important, regardless of party affiliation. I think that was the beauty of it. I think one's still needed, but I've known the problems with C4L for quite some time. And I have chosen to be quiet. I've chosen to not say anything about it. And in an effort to... Look, man, there's always something you can complain about, to be honest with you. But I've had enough. And last night was the capper for me. I mean, there's some things that have already gone on that, in my opinion, have gone too far. But with that being said, last night was the capper. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to explain what happened last night, specifically. Then I'm going to give you the overall thing of what's going on with C4L. And at the end of it, to be honest with you, you can make your own determinations as to what you want to do. If you want to still belong to that organization and you think that there's some hope, and maybe you're a member, maybe you're a county affiliate for C4L and your county doesn't do this, which there are counties in Florida that don't do this, that defy what Mark Cross, who's really between Mark Cross and Scott Oliver, those are the two main culprits for this. So let's get really specific on this. There's some others, and we're going to get into it. But for purposes of today's show, the two main culprits here, Mark Cross, who has really ran his mouth about me behind my back to many people on a private manner, and Scott Oliver, who's done basically the same thing, but except for last night when he did what he did. So, and you got to remember this too, is that when I first started running for office in 2009, I was running in PA, and the first organization I joined, which was basically their first meeting, was Campaign for Liberty.
That's right. You were at meeting number 1.
Yeah, I was at meeting number 1 in Orange County. In Orange County, mind you, which is where I was last night, which is where this story goes into. Now, I've noticed since I do every once in a while attend Orlando meetings, I'll go to Orange County, attend the meeting. I have a lot of friends there. There's a lot of friendly people there. There's a lot of friends there.
Right.
I would go to these meetings, and I went there yesterday because I had to meet with a potential candidate that's running for office over in Orange County, along with Henry Bentley.
Now, we had not planned on going to the C4L meeting. It just happened that Thursday was the first available date that we had. So when Henry Bentley asked us, when can we meet, we said, well, how about Thursday? And then he reminded us that that's the day of the C4L meeting. We weren't going over there because of this meeting.
No. But there was a lot of, like I said, we were already there. There's a lot of friendlies there, and
So we decided to say
and
hello to
a lot
everyone.
of friends there. So
Right.
we decided to stay. We're in the meeting. You know, they have different people coming up with updates. Henry Bentley comes with an update on Ban the Cams.
Mark Schmitter.
Mark Schmitter comes up with FIJA. And those guys give good information. I mean, those guys do very, very well. Maram Sharman, he did something on Obamacare, which I thought was actually very, very well done. And he actually contributed the Fed to it, which I thought was a great...
I thought it was a great presentation.
Oh, I thought he did a phenomenal
Yeah.
job. That he did an Obama... and again, he went Obamacare, Bush Care, Johnson Care,
Not Gary Johnson.
When he said Johnson Care, I was like, "What did Gary Johnson? What are you trying to do?"
Yeah, no, but it wasn't.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
It was Lyndon Johnson, yeah.
I thought that was something like
Johnson's Great Society. That's what started it. Yeah.
Did you think that too, Danielle, when he said Johnson
When he
Care?
first said
I was
it,
like,
Johnson Care, and I'm like, what are you talking
come
about? What are you
on.
trying to, like, you trying to do a snow job and, like, all of a sudden Gary Johnson's in on it?
Yeah.
And then I realized, because he did say 1965, that he was talking about Lyndon Johnson
Yeah.
and the Johnson's Great Society, and that's what started the government really into healthcare.
Yeah,
It did take me a minute, though.
Yeah, but I thought he did a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah, it was a great presentation. I'd love to have him out speaking at one of our events, actually.
Yeah. And so after that, then Scott brings up 3 members of the REC to give a...
Well,
okay, go ahead.
before that, he actually posts the date of the REC meeting, the Republican Executive Club meeting in Orange County, and then also the Orange County Democratic Executive Club meeting. And he says, quoting, "We have to put both up to keep our nonpartisan status."
Yeah, that's specifically said. Now, they didn't put up the Libertarian one. And this is something that's a little bit of a trick that they pull here, is that by the rules, they're a nonpartisan 501c4 organization. And by doing that, by claiming nonpartisanship, if you are going to put anything out on a political party, you got to put them out on all of them. Not both of them, mind you, all of them. Now, in their mind, it's both of them. So what they do, and Hillsborough County has done the same thing, and or in Pasco County kind of did this as well. What they'll do is, if they do list the Libertarian one, there's one piece of information that they'll leave out about... Or get wrong about the meeting. And they'll treat it like they couldn't find this information out. They're like, well, I don't know when they meet, but I think it's this time and this date. And that's where they meet, but I don't know where they meet. Basically, they did it for Pasco. Now, if you go to pascolp.org, on the side of the paper, it says exactly when we meet, exactly the location, and exactly the time.
And I think they do that intentionally to misrepresent the Libertarian Party. A lot of people have a misconception about the Libertarian Party, about disorganization and inability to get their stuff together, but that's false. In the last few years, certainly here in Florida, the LP has gotten its stuff together, regular meetings, well organized, lots of activity, and they are trying to portray it as
something else.
Yeah.
And in Hillsborough, it was so blatant. that they actually meet at the same location, just on two different, even just literally on 2 different days. And they said they gave the wrong place. They said, well, they meet over at Perkins. And I'm like, no, they meet here. And he was like, here in this building? Yeah, you know that because I've seen people from this room at the meeting.
Yeah. So this is what they do. So last night, they have 3 members of the rec go up there and talk about the joys of the rec, why they should join the rec and what they're doing. And in with it is just little digs against the LP over and over and over and over again. And
with 2 state officers of the Libertarian Party of Florida sitting in front of them.
Yeah. And they know this, though. They know this.
Yeah, they know exactly who you are.
Yeah, it's not like
which you'll probably get into later.
Yeah.
They've all been told who you are.
Yeah, they know exactly who we are. And I gave them their time. I didn't say anything. I mean, at some point I did stand up and I walked back into the back because I wanted to not, interrupt them too much. And then at one point when they were talking, they said something that wasn't true. Danielle, go ahead with that one.
Okay, so while they were talking, and they were talking about, how joyous it is to be in the Republican Executive Committee, and what she said is, well, what we're here for is we want more Liberty people we want to grow the Republican Executive Committee, and we want more Liberty people in there. She said, and some people ask why we don't join the Libertarian Party, since we actually do agree with them on principle, but that's because if we're Libertarians, we can't vote in primaries. And I heard that, and I ignored it. And then she said, so because we would be taken out of the Florida is a closed primary state, and because we would no longer be allowed to vote in primaries, we don't choose to be a Libertarian. And I said, well, that's just false. And she said, no, it's not. And I said, yes, it is. I said, that's false. Libertarians vote in primaries. I said, in fact, in 2014, we're going to have a statewide primary for governor. So we absolutely will vote in primaries. And she says, well, I meant you couldn't vote in the Republican primary. I said, well, of course not. And you couldn't vote in our primary. I said, we can't vote in another party's primary. No party can vote in another party's primary. But we have primaries.
Yeah, it's a closed primary state. You like it or not, that's the law here, and that's how it is. Democrats can vote in the Democrat primary, right. Republicans, Libertarians
in the Libertarian primary. And she says, well... yeah, that's what I said. I said, no, that's not what you said. You said we can't vote in primaries. That's not true. We just vote in our own primary. And she's, well, that's what I meant. It's a miscommunication. I said, well, I've corrected your miscommunication for you.
Now, I didn't say anything, mind you, by this point. So at the end, when those 3 individuals were done, which, look, at the end of the day, even those 3 people weren't necessarily bad people.
No.
The problem is, and this is the biggest problem, look, if you want to go up there and give the joys of Republicanism, then go ahead and do it. I don't care. Just make it equal. Here's the thing. Give me the opportunity to rebut that.
Right.
So I raised my hand. Like you should, raise my hand. Scott goes, we're not taking any questions right now. And I go, I don't have a question. I want my equal time. And he's like, thank you for coming, right? And then, so Danielle reiterates it. No, we want our equal time.
I said, there's a law, Scott, and you know it. It's equal time.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
So then they bring another speaker up after that point, and then that guy comes up and speaks. And then normally what happens at the C4L meetings is that everybody that's there that wants to speak gets 3 minutes. They can say anything they want to for the betterment of C4L. Well, Scott, being the scumbag authoritarian that he is, which, and again, there's a lot of people that. Hold on, I'm not going to get into that yet. Hold on, let me finish the story itself because I'll get into that part of it too, though. So Scott basically, shoves it all down, ends the meeting, gets it over with as quickly as possible because he knew he was in the wrong. He knew he was in the wrong. I walk up afterwards when it's all now the official meeting's over. I walk up afterwards. I go to Scott and I'm Scott. This isn't over.
I'm outside.
Yeah,
I'm outside in the smoking area, and several people had walked out as well because they were upset with what had just happened. So I'm outside with about 4 or 5 other people. So I'm not in the room at this time. We had walked out. Alex had gone back in, and several people walked out of the room as well, and was like, "That I'm so sorry you were treated that way. That's absolutely wrong."
And so I went to Scott and I go, Scott, this ain't over. And then we just started yelling back and forth. He's making fun of the LP and I'm yelling at him and and it's going back and forth. And I'm not being nice or quiet about it. I didn't threaten him or anything like that, but I was cursing up a storm at him. And I was really, in that part, I was out of line there. I should have handled it in a better way, but I was so fuming pissed at the moment that I just let him have it, right? And so he's like, you got to leave, you got to leave, you got to leave. And so he goes to security and go get security, the guy that owns the place, and asks me to leave at that point. So I'm like, screw you, then I'm out of here. And I walk down and I get in the elevator and go downstairs. And what I didn't realize is I forgot Danielle was still upstairs in the smoking area.
Because he said stay here, so that's where I stayed.
Yeah. So I go back in the elevator and I get up and I'm in the smoking area. But when this happened, Scott went to the smoking area. Danielle was standing out there and he starts yelling at Danielle.
Well, he had been yelling at me before you got out there.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell him that part.
So I'm standing outside with a few other people, and he comes ripping through the door. And I mean just flying through the door. And it slams open. And I'm standing on the other side of it. I mean, I'm not but 3 feet from the door, because I figured Alex is going to come soon and we're going to leave. So I didn't, travel very far from the door because that's where I had to go to leave. And he comes ripping through this door. And, well, I don't want to say all the words that he said because we still have children that listen to the show. But he comes through the door and basically, with a lot of curse words, says, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "What?" I said, "You have no authority to tell me where I can and can't be." And he was like, "Why did you even come here? You had no business being here." And he's screaming at me. And I'm like, "Scott, you broke the law." And he said, and he goes, "That was going to be a beautiful moment with a guest speaker and you ruined it." Now, granted, every other word in here is an F word. I'm just cutting those out.
Right.
and I'm like, "You're breaking the law and you're going to try to put a ruined moment on me?"
Yeah. Now, mind you, when we go there, and hold on, let me also say this. People need to know this part of it. When I go to something that is nonpartisan, I govern myself by a certain set of rules. And those rules is that I'm not out there politicking for the LP specifically. Right. I'll answer questions if asked questions. But I go there and deal with what they're dealing with. You know what I mean? So whatever they got going on, I'm not there specifically for the LP. I'm there. I'm respecting what they want to do in a nonpartisan way.
Right. You're there for their organization, their meeting, to talk about what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And if I can input things, I will input stuff. Like not in an LP way, but like to tell them something that's going on. Like we've done it, and I've done it in almost every. Other than last night, I've done it in almost every meeting that I've ever been to where they've said something wrong, and we've corrected them. But it's not been on party stuff. It's been like they didn't know something as related towards something that was going on in Tallahassee.
Like a piece of legislation. Yeah. What was that bill number? And I'll say, it's HB1 or, whatever it is.
Yeah, or even with Pasco County, they didn't know some of the history of C4L, so I told them some of the history of it. And I did it in a very clinical way. Like, this is the history of it. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. So we did all that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So he's screaming at me. And I'm yelling right back at him because I'm like, how dare you tell me that I've done something wrong when you broke the law? It's equal time. And he says, I've had libertarians speak there before. I said, I don't care what you've done before. Equal time is equal time at every meeting, Scott, every meeting. If you give time to another party, you have to give time to any party that's represented there. And you knew we were there. You knew we were state officers of the party.
Yeah.
And he's screaming at me, you had no business being here. How dare you come here? What were you even doing here? And he's literally in my face.
Yeah.
So the person who invited us said, you need to back up. She's here with me. I invited them. They were my guests. And you need to get out of here. You need to leave right now. I said, Scott, you have no authority over me. You can't tell me where to go. He's like, this is private property. I said, and you're not the owner of it.
Yeah.
So you don't get the authority to tell me where I can and can't stand.
Yeah. Now, mind you, when me and him were getting into it, he was trying to get away as much as humanly possible.
Now he's in my face screaming.
But he's in her face screaming.
Which that tells you something about him.
Oh, he's a straight coward.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit coward is what he is.
Yeah, he'll back up from you, but he'll stand over Danielle and scream at her.
And he's going to try. And here's the thing. Oliver's probably 6'3", maybe. Right. I mean, he might not be 6'3", he might be like 6'2", but just straight coward move, by the way.
Because
And this ain't the first time he's done something like
Yeah,
this, by the way.
I'm 5
I know
feet-
other people that he's done this to.
I'm 5 feet tall. He is. I mean, if he wasn't bending down in my face, I literally would have been looking like chest level.
So I get back up there. I try to get Danielle out of there. Scott and Scott doesn't want to just let it go. Like he's just constantly wants to come back and try to say something, right? Then he tries to get back in her face. Well, the last time he got up there, and I just started trucking after him, and dude backed up.
Because Alex is like, oh, what are you still doing up here? And don't even bother with him. Basically telling me, I'm like, I didn't bother with him. He came out here screaming at me.
Yeah.
So now I'm telling Alex what happened. He's out here screaming at me in my face. I didn't try to start anything with him.
Yeah.
And so Alex is like, let's just go. Now Scott's still screaming, and he comes where we are. Now he had been a couple feet away because someone else had told him to back up before Alex got out there. Now he comes up. Now Alex is behind me, and he's back in my face screaming at me. So now Alex just, goes right after him. I mean, that's it. Alex goes forward and he's like, he backs him up, and Alex is screaming at him. And he just kept going. And
the gist of it every time was, you're wrong. You're wrong. You know what you're doing is wrong. And I said, you've committed fraud. You violated the NAP. I'm going to report this.
yeah.
Because I'm sorry. Did you have something else?
Well, we were trying to leave 3 or 4 times, and he kept coming up screaming.
Like he wouldn't just shut up at that point. He just wanted to make sure he got the last word, and I wasn't going to allow that. And it's not like they had security guards there. They had a guy there, and he was he's a good guy. I mean, I'm sure he could do some damage. But it wasn't like he was trying to stop too much though, because I even think he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Let me also say this: is that John Kurtz, during the meeting, before the meeting was over with, John Kurtz actually stood up at the end of the meeting and says, I want to hear from the Libertarians. So a member of that goes there all the time, not just myself, who was one of the more founding members of it that doesn't really go as much anymore because I don't live over there. One of the person that is one of the founding members actually stood up, raised his hand, and says, I'd like to hear from the Libertarians. Scott shot that down like it's going out of style. So he shot that down all day long. Now we're getting, at this point, it's all over and done with. We're getting ready to leave. So that's what happened last night. We leave anything important out?
Not important. I mean, there was a lot said, but...
And again, I'm going to say this right now off the bat, is that I was cursing, I was loud, I was rude, I didn't threaten, but I did wait for the appropriate time frame, and it did escalate because I was attempting to raise my hand, and I did tell him that this ain't over, and then I was leaving at that point, and when Scott, I said this ain't over, then he wanted to engage in a little back and forth, and then I was all about having that. So that happened. Yeah. And for people that were there, you know what? I am sorry for my mouth on this one. I am sorry. I know that there was it wasn't the best choice of words that I used. However, the situation itself was just something I couldn't handle anymore, and I'm really getting sick and tired of it. So that happened last night. So let's now give you the entire story of C4L, because I've been quiet about this. I haven't said anything publicly about it. If people ask me privately, I've given them the information, but I haven't really gone too much into it very much. This group, the leadership of this group, is anything but nonpartisan. And also, let me say this, is that I'm talking about Scott Oliver and talking about Scott Oliver and Mark Cross. There's others that are involved. I'm not going to necessarily name the others, but it's not many of them. So more than likely, if you're listening to the show, it's probably not you. But if it is you, you know who you are.
Right.
But I'm going to leave the rest of the names out of it because this is specifically with these guys. These guys are nothing more than Republicans that want to have more people in the Republican Party. But what they do is that they will go under the guise of a nonpartisan organization and then use, I don't want to call it a pressure technique, but basically it's like, well, we're all part of the rec and you should be part of the rec too. And that's what they do. So they get people to go into the rec this way.
They make it sound like the only way you can change anything is through the rec.
Yeah, that's basically what they say. They say that if you're not in the rec, then you're out of the game and you're not doing anything. You're not actually doing anything. And that Ron Paul said to join the rec.
Which is a lie.
That is actually a total lie, by the way. I mean, he's a Republican, but he didn't tell people to join the rec. He said just do what you think is the right thing to do.
He said find your strength and find how that relates to liberty and do that. That is the only thing Ron Paul has said. He said said, but I've chosen to do it through the Republican Party. But everybody has to make their own choice.
So they do this, and then in addition to this, what they do is stuff like we talked about, is that they will not allow for the even playing field that they should be allowing for. Because the only thing I'm ever asking for is an even playing field. If you're not going to bring up any political parties, then don't bring up any political
Then
parties.
I don't want you to bring up us.
Here's the thing. Let me give you the difference here. Last Saturday, we held the Unity in Action rally. At the Unity in Action rally, they had members from several nonpartisan organizations that were there. No political parties were present. No political
Including
party,
our own.
including the Libertarian Party. No political parties, no candidates. We had a nonpartisan event with local people from the area, and I think it went off phenomenally well. Which goes to show you that this is not me. It's not like I'm the problem here, because I'm very, very willing and able and happy to do something in a nonpartisan fashion. Because I think that it does bring everybody together. When you get the parties out of it, everybody can be brought together on a lot of issues. And everybody at last Saturday's thing had a great time. Now, mind you, I've known about a lot of these issues in the past. I invited C4L to that event.
Yes.
Specifically invited C4L to that event. Now, C4L, while two of their members showed up, or a couple of the people that are members that are trying to get the affiliate going showed up, and I do appreciate their attendance, and I think that they did very, very well. The leadership decided that we're not going to have anybody speak there. We're not going to actually let people know about this stuff. Basically, kind of boycotting the whole thing.
Right.
Not really boycotting it, but like
They
not
did say
participating.
that. Well, there was an RPOF meeting on the same day.
Yeah, the
State party.
The state party.
The state Republican Party had their meeting on the same day. So many of the people who would who had said they would normally come and speak wouldn't, because of the RPOF meeting, which is fine. We honestly didn't know that the RPOF meeting was on the same day, because we had planned this actual event out 6 or 7 months in advance.
Yeah. So, but what we've been told. Now, again, I'm not going to give you the names of people that told me this stuff. I'm only going to tell you that I've been told these things. But again, I'm actually hoping at this point that some of these people are going to step up and tell the truth. We've been told that Mark Cross and Scott Oliver have laid down guidelines for the other county affiliates, because they're trying to go back and expand C4L again, because they lost a lot of affiliates before. The reason they lost them is because of Mark Cross.
Right.
Well, Mark Cross owns C4L in Florida, so there's no getting rid of Mark Cross. Mark Cross owns C4L. He's bought it. It's a franchise. It's like a McDonald's. You ain't getting rid of him.
Right.
So he owns C4L here in Florida, and he runs it like an authoritarian dictator would run C4L here in Florida. But he told members of, people that are running county affiliates, do not let Alex Snicker, Adrian Wyllie, or Danielle Alexandria in to speak. Now, a lot of these people told him, we'll drop our affiliation from you before we stop doing that.
Yeah, we'll change the name.
So he's gotten pushback already for that. But Scott Oliver, because, he's Mark Cross's lapdog, little do boy, I'm going to do whatever you want to. Scott's in charge, or Mark's in charge. Jerk. Yeah, I said that about you, Scott Oliver, and you got a problem with it. Come down here and we can solve it if you'd like. We'll see. We'll be at my house. We'll see how stand your ground works here. If he does this, and he knew he was doing it last night. He knew he was doing it on purpose. He knew it was going to piss me off, and he did not care. Did not care one iota, because he doesn't want to give any of us the ability to be able to speak. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The reason why, because several of the affiliates have actually asked Adrian to speak and then actually uninvited him. And the reason why is because they were told by Mark Cross that to keep their nonpartisan nonprofit status, that they would have to give equal time to all candidates in that race, because they have to give equal time to all candidates and all political parties. So this is something that Mark Cross uses to say why we can't be there, because they say that Adrian can't be there as a candidate because then they'd have to ask, Rick Scott or anyone else in the race to also be there, because they have to give equal time. Now, the way around that, and it's not even around that, because Adrian is an activist, he doesn't give a campaign speech. He doesn't talk about the campaign whatsoever. He talks as an activist, that this is what I'm doing to fight Real ID, this is what I'm doing to fight these issues, and things like that, and he doesn't give a campaign speech.
Yeah. So, and again, this is wonky. I'm not going to even lie. This is a wonky thing, and most people are going to go, well, what does it matter at the end of the day? And you should just, just deal with it. It's their meeting. Do what they want to do. My problem is the NAP. The one thing we're all supposed to agree with is the non-aggression principle. Now, what the non-aggression principle does state is that I will not commit force, fraud in order to have initiate force or fraud for political gain or for social gain or whatever. So it has all those things listed in there. This is fraud. Mm-hmm. This is complete and utter fraud. And it's fraud for not even a good reason, because they're not even doing the right thing. It's fraud in the fact that they're lying, that they're nonpartisan. If you're going to be nonpartisan, then be that. I support that. I'm all with that. It's the reason I was joining them in 2009 for that, because I didn't want to belong to the Republican or the Democrat parties. And at a certain point, I said, well, we do need a political party, so I joined the LP because that's the one that best fits my viewpoint, which is the one that best fits most of these people's viewpoint if they'd actually do that. But it doesn't fit Mark Cross and Scott Oliver's viewpoint, by the way.
It may fit their viewpoint, it doesn't fit their agenda.
They are authoritarian Republicans who have co-opted the liberty movement in order to gain more of their own personal power. I do not even believe that they believe in libertarianism. There is no way that they do if they act like this. So they do not get the benefit of the doubt that, well, ideologically we're the same. No, they are authoritarian scumbags, pieces of shit that should not be in charge of those organizations. And it's because of Mark Cross, it's because of you, Mark Cross, that you've lost county affiliates. You've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I know about. And this is past year and a half. Lost 5. I was 2 of them. Mm-hmm. 3 other ones in 3 other places you've lost. And that's not going to end it right there. Because after today, you're probably going to lose 1 or 2 more. And at a time frame in which you can't afford to be losing these kind of affiliates, you're going to lose some. And you're going to lose some because you're a bad person. Because you're not a good person. You are a bad, bad, bad person. And I do not like anything that you are doing. And I'm exposing you today. And this is the beginning and end of it. But I'm going to expose you. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Mark Cross uses this as his political ploy to gain power in the RPOF, because he looks at it as, well, I have influence over all of these people all throughout the state, so you have to give me influence in the RPOF, or I won't tell those people anymore to stay Republican. And he does use it, and I've heard that. I've heard that from many people that are in the RPOF with him that, talk to us. So he uses that. He uses your membership in C4L to further his own power in the Republican Party. That's a fact. He does it. C4L uses their members as an ATM machine, because all of these things, how they're lobbying for this and lobbying for that and lobbying for that, I'm up there. They ain't there. And their whole, they did this big thing up, last night, how, well, we're going to take red light cameras is going to be our number 1 issue in Florida C4L this year. But failed to mention that there's already a bill filed to get rid of red light cameras throughout the state. There's already a bill filed, SB 144, filed by Jeff Brandes, that would already ban red light cameras in the state. Now, not one time did they mention we're going to get behind this bill. Not one time did they say this is what we're going to be lobbying for. What they said was, you need to get behind our efforts because we're going to really focus on red light cameras. Well, how? What's your plan? There is no plan, because they use their membership like an ATM machine.
And they're a bunch of damn underpants gnomes.
Right. We're gonna tell you that we're doing all this great work, so give me all your money so we continue to do all this great work. We're never going to tell you the plan. We're never going to tell you what we're doing. And guess what? For someone who's up in Tallahassee, C4L ain't there. They're never there. They're never lobbying. They're never doing anything for you. They're just stealing your money.
Now, they used to have John Hallman.
Right.
John Hallman started his own organization. Now, John Hallman can be a person that will tell you he's not going to say an ill word about C4L and Mark Cross. John Hallman will never say one of those things. But let me ask you a question. Why would you need to form another organization? Why would you need to form the Liberty First Network in order to do the lobbying effort up in Tallahassee if that's what the goal of C4L is, unless there's some kind of a problem? Now, again, any conversation I've had with John Hallman is a private conversation, and I'm not putting words in the man's mouth. All I'm doing is saying, look, John Hallman, who was the lobbyist for C4L, has started his own organization. You need to wonder why he did that.
Well, and lots of people, and I was traveling around the state over the weekend, and meeting a lot of Liberty people all throughout the state, and there was a very common thread whenever Campaign for Liberty would come up. And the common thread was, I believe in what they're doing. They have some good initiatives, but I don't believe in the leadership here in Florida. I think that they've been very biased towards libertarians and they've been very biased towards other parties, and that they're using this just to gain power in the Republican Party. And I don't agree with that. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from members all over the state who were in C4L and basically was asking, why are you not affiliated with C4L anymore?
Who were leaders of their local affiliate. It's not like they were just disgruntled members. They were people that these were people that were dedicated to this, that had to drop it. And they dropped it because of Mark Cross and because of C4L. Now, there's other issues that have happened in the past, but let me give you a couple things that have happened most recently. The first one is that they had a state committee man, Paul Foss, and Paul listens to the show, and Paul's not going to be happy that I'm saying this. But you know what, though? If we're going to do this, we're going to do this the right way. And if you guys want to start playing a little honest ball here, let's play a little honest ball here. Guys running for state committee man at the C4L meeting, put his brochures and flyers out right on the table with everything else, handed it out, and gave a speech during the middle of the entire thing in Pasco County. Complete violation of the rules right there. That's just a complete violation. Now, if you're going to be nonpartisan, to be nonpartisan. Again, I'm cool with it if that's what you want to do, but you're not doing that. They are systematically bringing people into the wreck, and they're doing the wrong thing. More important than anything else is that their plan itself is not the plan that you as a member of C4L think it is. Right. And this is the part that pisses me off more than anything else, is that you are being lied to. And let me explain why. And I said underpants gnomes earlier, and a lot of people are probably laughing. They're like, underpants gnomes? What the hell, underpants gnomes? You got to watch South Park to understand what underpants gnomes is. But basically what happened on South Park was the underpants gnomes had this big plan, is that they're going to steal everybody's underwear, then something amazing is going to happen, and then they make money. Okay, there's no plan in the middle, but they're going to make money at the end, right? C4L is doing the exact same. Well, they're not stealing people's underwear. So I guess they're not doing exactly the same thing, but they're doing. No,
they're stealing your money. They don't need to steal your underwear to gain money. They'll just take it from your wallet.
What they're doing is that they're wasting your time. If they tell you to go into the rec, and this is what I was going to say last night. This is what I was going to say to the group last night if I'd have given an opportunity to speak. I was going to say, if you're serious about taking over the Republican Party, then there's no need to even bother with the rec. Just take over your precinct. You be the influencing factor of the GOP within your precinct. You don't need a job to do that. You don't need to become the committee man or the committee woman to do that, because it's a waste of time. And what happens is, if you send 5 people to the rec, you're going to lose 2 to 3 of them every time, because it's such a dirty, disgusting place. Not that it's filthy dirty like the floor is dirty. It's filthy dirty, and you have filthy dirty people in there. Those people are dirty individuals. A lot of them make their money off of government. These are the people you hate, and they want you to sit in a room with them and sing Kumbaya with them. That's what Mark Cross and Scott Oliver want you to do. They want you to go sit down in a room with people that you should not like, that you do not like, that are part of the problem, and they want you to sing Kumbaya for only being able to have influence over. For giving Mark Cross the ability to have influence and Scott Oliver the ability to have influence, not because it's growing your own personal power, it's because it's growing their power. That's why they don't want us on the stage, because we're not about our power, not about it. What we're doing is we tell them what they should be doing in order to advance the agenda for them, to give them political power, because this thing only works if you give individuals political power in their own neighborhoods. It's the only way it works. That's how Rand, again, let's go down the Republican side. That's how Rand wins in 2016. Doing what I'm saying, Rand wins in 2016 in Florida. Not doing what I'm saying, you have the same crap that you have right now. But that's what they want. They want to be able to extract hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from you, so they can pay John Tate an exorbitant salary, so they can pay Jesse Bitton an exorbitant salary, so they can pay other people exorbitant salaries that they don't need, while you're down here busting your hump. That's what they want. They want the seat at the table, and they want your blood, sweat, and tears as the ability to get that. But if you fall out of line, if you decide that I don't want to be in the Republican Party, I don't like this GOP, I do not like it, Sam, I am, then you're done. Then you're out of there. We're going to ignore you. We're going to do everything we possibly can to discredit you. We're going to lie about you behind your back to others, and we're going to systematically exclude you from things. Well, guess what, Mark Cross? Guess what, you ignorant piece of shit? I am onto your game, and I have been for quite some time. And before I was going to be quiet about this in order to make sure that everybody got along, get along. That ends now. That's all over and done with. Have a good time. We'll see how many county affiliates you have now. Because I guarantee you're going to lose one. You might lose two more. And if I can find more, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to tell those people as I'm going around what an incredibly piece of shit you are. And we'll see if they stay. We'll see who wins this one overall. Unbelievable, by the way. And the fact is that Mark Cross is not a Liberty guy. He does not believe in it. He is a GOP firster, and he has been for a long, long time. They call him Double Cross Mark for some reason.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. He didn't give us the damn list during the Ron Paul campaign until January.
No.
Danielle, tell him that part.
Okay. We started asking for the Ron Paul for the Ron Paul campaign. You could sign up online and tell what area you were in to volunteer, and we were coordinating in this region. Well, actually, I was actually trying to find the coordinator for my own region. I was working with the national campaign on a bunch of different things. I kept asking, I want to work in my region. I want to work in my region. Who's the coordinator? Nobody would give me the information. Everybody kept saying, don't worry about working in Florida. We're not going to put any resources into Florida. Just keep working in the national organization. And I was like, no, Florida's my home. I want to work there. It took me 2 months to find out that the coordinator was Alex, my friend from years. I mean, we've been friends for years at this point. And so I contact him right away and like, okay, let's do this. We're asking for the list of volunteers. They refused to give it to us. It was always, well, we'll give it to you soon. It's always soon, later, soon. We never got the list. Now, the primaries at the end of January, we got it the second week of December. We only had about 42 days from the time we got the list of volunteers to the presidential primary.
Yeah.
We had to call our first meeting on New Year's Eve.
And people, when we called them and finally contacted them, were pissed. They were blaming us.
Yeah.
Now, again, I can understand why they did this. But that's what they did, and the reason why was this. They're not about growing and getting somebody elected into office. They're about maintaining their own political power at your expense. Again, I am coming out now because I realize that not only is there no chance that these guys are going to straighten up and start acting right, but they are leading people astray. And there's nothing that offends me more is when they actually start leading people astray.
No, and you know what else pisses me off, and this is something that I normally do tend to stay quiet about, but you know, whenever we go to these meetings, and you hear it from the National C4L, especially in Florida, well, we're just working the Ron Paul plan. You know what? Guess what, guys? You're not working Ron Paul's plan, you dumbasses. You're working Jesse Benton's plan. I heard the plan when he fucking came up with it. That it had nothing to do with Ron Paul. It was Jesse Benton's plan. You know that guy who you said screwed everything up? Well, you're playing right into his hands because it was his plan all along, and he's the one that was pushing for it because he can't stay a political consultant and continue to lose campaigns unless he's got a power base behind him, which is you people in C4L. So you're giving Jesse Benton power. That's why he came up with the plan. That's why he devised it. Ron Paul doesn't say it. Not ever. He says do what you do your passion, do what makes you happy, and make your own choices. Jesse Benton, the scumbag that he is, tells everybody to stay in the Republican Party. And why does he do that? Because he can't keep making money unless he has you behind him. You're playing right into his hands. You always have been, and you're using Ron Paul's name to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Benton got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars from C4L. Got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Who's he working for right now? Mitch McConnell. Is Mitch McConnell a good Liberty guy? I mean, really, is Mitch McConnell a good Liberty guy? If he is, and again, every time that you would bring something like this up in C4L, they would get very angry about this. Whenever you tried to expose the truth about anything, they would get very angry about this. And it was a continuing process. And again, the reason that they went after us specifically is because they know that we know it. They know that we know where all the bones are buried. They know we know all the dirt that's going on, and we've chosen up until this point to really kind of maintain a little calm about it. Like I'm not gonna cheerlead for you, but I'm not gonna throw you into the bus either. I'm not gonna expose all the crap that I know in order to, for whatever reason. But I've realized now that it's too late. You people will not stop doing what you're doing. So you're going to need to be told. So last night we did a formal letter. identifying 3 different instances, and we have more than this, but we identified just 3, and we put them on notice that you are doing these things. You're not supposed to be doing these things. You better take corrective action on it, and you better take corrective action on it right away. And we sent it to the officers of C4L. And again, I'm sorry that it had to come to this. I really, really, really am. I was not thinking that yesterday I was going to be doing a show talking about this.
No, I had a lot of prep prepared. I mean, I had a lot of show prep ready to go.
Yes, she did. With everything else going on in the world right now, this is not what we should be dealing with. No. But at the same time, you have a lot of people that go to these meetings. You have a lot of people that belong to C4L. And they got to know the truth. They got to know that they're wasting their time.
Yeah. With everything that's going on in the world, that's why it's critical that we have to have this conversation, because they are misleading people. Because people who are motivated, determined, enthusiastic about changing the world and making this better and getting us some liberty back, they're the ones being misled. The foot soldiers in this fight are the ones that we need to be doing what they're supposed to do. And when you have organizations like this leading them astray, it sabotages everything.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. We're the first ones to work with anyone from any party. And we get heat from our own party because we are state officers, but we'll still work with people from other parties. Because to me, if it's an issue we can agree on, let's work together and get this solved. Because at the end of the day, shouldn't we all be for what's better for the country? I mean, I can have a big ego and say, no, I'm only going to work with libertarians. But at the end of the day, if we can push through good legislation and we had to work with a couple people who we don't agree on with everything, isn't the better thing to do to get the good legislation through, or to get back our liberty? Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to advance the LP. I'm here to advance liberty so that my kids can live in a free society. I'm here to fight tyranny. I choose to do that through the LP. But whatever I need to do to accomplish my goals, I will do. But these people won't do that. They're not in it for the same thing. They're not in it to fight tyranny. They're not in it to bring freedom for their children. They're in it to advance the agenda of the Republican Party. And by the way, they're working a plan whose agenda is to line the pockets of Jesse Benton.
Yeah. Again, I only have the proof of Jesse Benton already being paid for that. This ain't a crazy allegation. It's what happened. Again, it's one of these things where it's been clear. And again, I haven't been overly, I've never been publicly critical about it. I've left it alone.
Right.
But and I'm not the only one either. Guys like Kokesh, there's other people that have been public about it that have come out with this. What I'm asking everybody to do is this. First off, realize that there is no political party that's going to save you, including the Libertarian Party.
Right.
No political party is going to save you. What will save you is by owning the vote where you live in your own area. And I've said this before, and I've beaten a dead horse, but I'm going to say it again. If you want to belong to the Republican Party, more power to you. If you want to associate with those authoritarian scumbags and watch people like Scott Oliver and Mark Cross fawn all over themselves for as much as they're able to pull the wool over the eyes of regular people, then you go ahead and you do that. I'm not going to belong to those people. I'm going to belong to the LP, to the Libertarian Party. You know, the party that actually represents your values and not trying to take over some party that doesn't represent your values.
And goes up and actually lobby his legislators and not just write strongly worded resolutions that mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and here's something else, by the way, is that, and this is the thing. They say, well, we're going to take the GOP back to its roots. That's what they're always saying all the time. We're taking the GOP back to its roots.
You mean Lincoln?
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about, Lincoln?
He was the first Republican in office, by the way. Lincoln, the guy that aggressed on the southern states and didn't believe in states' rights. Yeah, that's the roots of your party, Lincoln.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, then that's perfectly fine. But quit saying that you guys are anything but that, because that's all you are. Again, some of these people are friends of mine. I'm friendly with some of them. But I'm not going to sit here and take it, though. What I'm not going to do is sit here and be abused like this. And this is what I feel it is. And again, it was specific, it was systematic, and I'm done. Now, after this hour, we're not bringing it up. I mean, other than snide comments here and there, or if something new happens, we'll let you guys know about it.
For sure.
But other than that, I don't have time for this crap. But I do want people to understand and be made aware exactly what the problem was, so we can at least let you know what the truth is and let you decide for yourself. Look, your local affiliate may be a good time, and you guys don't really deal with Mark Cross, and if that's the case, then more power to you.
Great.
And if you want to stay in that organization, then you go ahead. But you don't need them. You can be your own group. Call yourself Ocala Liberty.
Well, and we've, and just for
Marion County Liberty.
Yeah, for full disclosure, we actually ran the Hernando and the Pasco affiliates. We were having issues with Mark Cross. We seen that they were excluding libertarians and really didn't want anything to do with any libertarian who was running an affiliate. We backed off, and in Hernando County, they took it upon themselves to create Hernando County for Liberty. They do everything that C4L was supposed to do and failed, and they are doing phenomenal work in Hernando County. They bring it very local, and they're winning on issues. So I have to give those guys credit. They didn't need C4L. They didn't need that freaking name. They just started doing the work, and they're making progress.
Yeah, and God bless them for it. And by the way, we've tried everything we possibly can. We've tried everything that we possibly can try to try to work with these guys. We really have. I mean, I have let things go that I would never normally let go, but I've let them go to just try to be nice and work together. I've done this. I've done the best I can at it. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. And I've, again, let the chips fall where they may. But again, you committed fraud. You violated the NAP. I'm not an anarchist. I do believe in laws, and you violated it. And you know what? Don't deal with me on it anymore. You go ahead. You deal with the authorities on it.
Yeah.
That's who you're going to have to deal with. Because you know what? You violated the NAP. You lied. You are misleading people, and you are fraud. You are nothing. Mark Cross and Scott Oliver are frauds.
They're
Frauds.
not nonpartisan. They don't
They're
believe
not
in being
nonpartisan.
nonpartisan.
And here's the thing. Just change it. Drop your nonpartisan status and say Campaign for Liberty is a Republican group and we believe in going through the Republican Party. And you'd never hear a word from me. Matter of fact, you'd never see me in any of their
I'd
meetings.
congratulate them.
I would say, hey, good luck with that, guys.
I
Have a good
really
time.
would. I would congratulate them because all I want is honesty. If you're going to say that you're nonpartisan, then I want you to be nonpartisan. But if you're going to say, hey, we're here to advance the liberty arm of the Republican Party, hey, good on you. I hope you do it. Congratulations, but be freaking honest. If you're going to lie to people, I'm going to call you out every single time.
Yeah, and there's not a liberty arm of the Republican Party.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying if that's what they want to say.
Yeah.
Do you feel a little better?
A little bit.
I mean, I'm still furious.
Look, I'll tell you what I'm mad about, man. What I'm mad about is that I've known Scott Oliver was this way for a long, long time. And I have taken it upon myself, and I've gotten in arguments with him in the past.
And he's been so rude to me.
Yeah, and I've taken it upon myself to try to just let bygones be bygones. I even called him up. This is the crap of it. I have something really cool working right now. Really, really cool working right now. I'm canceling the whole thing. And it was really cool. And the first people I called Oliver because I cared about the Orange County people. And I wanted to see the Orange County people be able to go do something like this. And so I called, and again, I hate saying this, but I can't say it on the air because it was a secret. Not a secret, but I was asked not to tell because this person's on vacation, he's coming down, and he'd agreed to have a limited engagement with people.
Right.
But at the same time, he doesn't want to really make it public because he's on personal vacation.
Right.
But he's coming to visit Florida.
This is someone who a lot of people would be interested, who's a friend and, who we've made contact with.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him a friend. I'd say we made contact with him.
Yeah. I didn't mean to, that's why I corrected myself. This is someone who, we've made contact with and I've spoken to a few times, is coming down. It will be a very kind of closed door, just a small dinner that we were all going to have. And because Orange County, there's so many great people over there. And I'm really pissed off at Scott Oliver, and Mark Cross because I want to, basically be honest about what they do. But the people over in Orange County are absolutely phenomenal, and they give us so much love when we're over there, the people, not the leadership. And we wanted to include them on this, but there's no way we can do that now, not after this.
I mean, I might just contact some of those people individually and ask them. But, if I really don't ever want to see Scott Oliver alive again. I don't ever want to see him at all. Again, he's a disgusting human being. I'm not the only person that thinks that. There's a lot of people that are former members of C4L in Orange County that would tell you the same thing. Many of those people, some of those people actually worked in the campaign, and I would invite them over to go to that place. Like, even then, I would still invite people to go over there, and I would say, look, they're nonpartisan. They'll probably do a little Republican thing, but it's okay. I mean, just deal with it. So that's what I would do in the past. Again, they didn't need to make me. They had somebody in me that would, if you would just act the way that you're claiming that you were supposed to act, and you would have somebody that would be a champion. And you'd still be able to say to people, join the Republican Party. There'd just be somebody else saying, oh, but if you don't want to do that, join the Libertarian Party. Like,
Right.
that's all you would have. That's all you would have. It would be nonpartisan. It would be putting it on an even playing field. But again, because they don't believe in nonpartisan, they believe in using it as a cloak. That their nonpartisan status is the lie, because they're not.
I think if they were to actually say the actual Ron Paul plan and actually frame it like he does, where, listen, I've chosen to do this, but whatever's right for you, that's what you need to do. Find your passion, find what you're good at, and that's what you need to do to advance liberty. I would be 100% behind them all the time. And it's because that they don't do that. It's because that they use the Jesse Benton model of let's get power in the GOP. Yeah. That's why I have to say something.
Yeah, and the other thing is this, and you make a good point, but I just want to reiterate this point. You are following Jesse Benton if you're going with this. They're lying to you when they tell you that it's the Ron Paul plan. They are lying to you. And here's the thing. Are you a sheep? Are you a sheep? Because Ron Paul does something, are you supposed to do it all of a sudden? I mean, that's what they make. Again, they insult people. He's insulting. Well, Ron Paul does it. Is that a reason to do it?
Ron Paul is also a lifetime member of the Libertarian Party, by the way.
Yeah. But look, and Ron Paul is not a member of the Libertarian Party right now. When you ask him why, he will tell you it's because of the laws against third parties. That's what he says. The laws on third parties are so bad right now that it's very difficult for somebody that's a third party person.
He's a member. No, Ron Paul is a member of the Libertarian Party. He's not a registered Libertarian. There's a difference. You can be a member and not registered in the party. He is a member of the Libertarian Party. He's a lifetime member.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those things that it just sucks. It really does suck because it shouldn't have to be this way, but it is. Whatever. I needed an hour to explain it. The hour has got here, and I hope that you guys have learned something. Again, take the information that I've said today, share it with others. The only thing I'm going to ask people to do is those that know these stories need to start telling them.
Right.
You need to start telling the truth. Because we can no longer lie to people. It was wrong. Excuse me. It was wrong that we were doing it to begin with. We need to tell people the truth. Please do that. Please, those of you that know, because many of you I've talked to so many people about this, and normally it comes from somebody else. Like I don't mention it, somebody mentions it to me.
We get phone
or somebody
calls.
Calls me about it, or somebody sends me an email about it, and they're yelling at C4L. So the spirit is out there, and you know what? We need to make sure we're leading people. If we're going to be leaders, then we need to be leading people the right way, and we don't need to be leading people down a bad road. And we need to make sure we give them all the information and trust that people have the ability to make that determination for themselves, and that they're making the right decision for themselves. I mean, that's what I believe firmly in that aspect. I really do think that you got to tell people the whole truth, let them figure it out for themselves. And again, the reason this has not come out sooner is because you hate to be the person that complains all the time about stuff, and I think I wanted to see it come to maybe its natural progression before I did say something, and last night that escalated quickly.
Well, I think we always had hope that at some point there would be enough pushback from, libertarians and things like that in C4L where they couldn't get rid of them all, and eventually we'd be able to work together and really kind of have that nonpartisan group where everyone could come together and work on the issues.
Yeah.
I know that was my hope. That was my hope for the whole time. But to see Mark Cross and Scott Oliver just get absolutely, just so blatant with their bias towards the Libertarian Party, to literally have people up there lying about our party in front of state officers of the party. It's just ridiculous.
They've got balls.
Yeah.
You got to give them that.
Well, and this is one other warning. Scott Oliver, if I ever see you do what you did to Danielle, if I'm up there when that happens, there's a whole different problem that we're going to have. And that problem is going to be serious, and it's going to be something that is going to require one of us making a trip to the hospital. You make that decision for yourself, but you are a coward. The fact that you did that when I went downstairs, and that you did that you went after Danielle and you got in her face, somebody that, again, you're a big guy, she's a little girl. The fact that you did that proves what a coward of a human being that you are. You are a coward. You really are, Scott. And I never liked you. I always thought that you were a scumbag of a human being. I'm glad that I've been proven overall correctly, and many people believe the same way. You need to leave C4L. The only way that I will ever come back to that organization, which I probably won't be invited to anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the only way that I will ever come back is if you're gone. I don't want anything to do with a coward like you. And if you have a problem with me, Scott, if you have an issue with what I'm saying, I'm not hard to find. Just remember, you've taken it to a whole different level when you've gotten in her face. When you've actually attacked a woman, basically. You basically attacked a woman. You got into her space and you attacked a woman. So let's take a break. Hour number 1's in the bag. Hour number 2's coming up. 1787network.com is the website. We will be back. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix. And be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority, man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen Listen to the words of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wyllie on the 1787 Radio Network.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the program, you can call the Refresh Telecom lines, which is 1-800-525-4032. That's 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, the only organization that won't give your information to the NSA without a court order. Hour number 1, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. The same as last night. Escalated quickly.
Yeah. Oh, that escalated quickly. I always love Anchorman for that comment when he did that. You know, when he gets down there, they had the what do they call that?
I stabbed a man with a trident. Love that movie.
It's such a good movie. That's probably, I think that's one of Will Ferrell's best movies, I think. Like, that was his best character.
Yeah. Well, I think his best was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but that's just me. Anyway.
Oh, when he was the guy in jail?
No, when he was the national, like the federal park ranger.
Oh, yeah.
The wildlife officer.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, that is kind of funny, actually. I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to get right to it. As many of you know, Adrian Wyllie was a member of this program, but in order to focus on his campaign, he has taken a permanent leave of absence from the show. Still a fan of the show, still probably listening to the show, probably listening today.
Probably listened today because he knew last night we were going to be.
Yeah, he knew. Yeah, he knew. We called Adrian last night and kind of told him because sometimes you want to make sure that when you do something like when you do something like we did last night, which you can hear hour number 1 and find out what that is, but I'm not going to tell you right now because you have to go listen to hour number 1. But when you do what we did, we had to make sure we let somebody know, and we let Adrian know. But for Adrian, there is some new information that has come out about the campaign.
Some new bias towards libertarians.
Yeah, some new bias towards libertarians. How funny is that, by the way? Jesus.
It's like the theme of the show.
Yeah, again, it was yeah. The whole reason this show ended up starting in the beginning was because of bias against libertarians.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Yep. I remember the first episode.
Yeah. Oh, that was just a 2-hour rant, though. Oh man, that was.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time. Those were fun shows, and I had no idea what I was doing at the time. Not that I even know now.
I was gonna say that's changed now.
So Adrian Wylie's running for office.
Running for governor.
Running for
WylieForGovernor.com.
WylieForGovernor.com. And in a PPP poll, he was polled at 8.7%.
No, in a St. Pete
Oh,
polls,
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, in St. Pete polls.
he was polled at 8.7%.
This was a poll of 3,000 people, was done across the state of Florida, and had Adrian's name included in the poll.
Right.
So we figured after that they would actually have polling companies that would start polling him. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. Danielle, go ahead.
Well, PPP actually did exclude him from a poll last week, or maybe the week before, and they were inundated with Wyllie supporters just blasting them for not including him, to the point that within 45 minutes of this starting, they put out on their Twitter, we promise to include Adrian Wyllie in the next poll, but please stop calling. But now we have found out that the University of North Florida also has decided to show a bias towards libertarians and not include Adrian Wyllie in their latest poll. Who they did include, who is not even a registered candidate and who there is speculation is not going to run for governor, but maybe run for Congress, was Charlie Crist. Now, Charlie Crist has not said that he's going to run for governor. There's a lot of speculation that he's going to run. He hasn't actually said that he wants to run. And there is now very strong speculation that Charlie Crist is not going to run for governor. He will run for Congress because C.W. Bill Young is actually retiring, not going for re-election. And there is speculation that Charlie Crist may run for Congress and not run for governor. But yet, in this poll by the University of North Florida, they included Charlie Crist's name, even though we're not sure what he's going to run for, but failed to include Adrian Wylie's name. So, of course, the Wyllie supporters, who are amazing across the state and even nationally, started blasting the University of North Florida, basically saying, you're an institution of education. How could you not want to educate the public that there's more than just two parties? Now they have responded, which I did get this morning, and you guys don't even know about it because I didn't read it to you this morning.
Uh-oh.
And basically, what they said, because part of the allegations was that if someone was saying that they were a libertarian, that they were basically being hung up on. But what they do say is that the University of North Florida, when they do start asking about registration, which they said that they did not on this poll, although we do have people that say differently, that they will ask people, they'll include nonpartisan affiliates, or sometimes they'll say something else option. So you'll have an option to say you're nonpartisan or that you're something else. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with them saying something else because obviously, we are a minor party for now. We will change that. But for now, we are a minor party, so I understand that. But they made it sound like they actually just include nonpartisan affiliated, which to me is dishonest. I'm not a nonpartisan affiliated voter. I have an affiliation. It's libertarian. I should be able to say such. And I shouldn't have to designate myself as a nonpartisan to be included in your poll because I'm a libertarian. I'm not nonpartisan. But they've also said that they just didn't have the resources to include all 20 candidates. So because they had limited resources, and Charlie Crist was, it says, fairly self-evident, that they included him, but they didn't include Adrian Wyllie. Now, they did say that after running the poll, only 2% of the respondents picked other. So they said that, they'll include him once he polls higher, once he'll garner more than 2%. Now, this is what I'm going to be responding to the University of North Florida. Until you ran that poll, the only numbers that had included Adrian Wyllie was the St. Pete polls, which actually had him at nearly 9%. So there was no way before you excluded him to know that he would only garner 2% in your poll, which you still don't know because you didn't name him. But to say that he would only garner 2% and that you knew that going into it is a lie. Because he has been polled. He's been polled at 9%, so you're dishonest. To say that people have to say that they're non-party affiliated to be included in your poll, even if they're a third party, is dishonest. In fact, there's a lot of dishonesty going on at the University of North Florida.
Now, let me remind everybody right now, Danielle and Greg, and I'm reminding myself, too, that we are on Tan Talk 1340, and by doing that, we are under the laws of the FCC in case you wanted to say anything colorful.
Okay. Point
yeah,
well
but
taken.
government shut down, and I don't think FCC is working.
Oh, you don't think FCC?
I don't know. Did you watch Saturday Night Live? I don't think FCC is working.
I did not. I missed it.
Well,
So basically, University of North Florida,
A dishonest organization.
yeah, they're a very dishonest organization, decided to do a poll that didn't include Adrian's name on it. Did it on purpose, and this is what you're going to see. So, in all reality, what you need to do is you need to contact them. You need to let them know that this is you're not gonna stand for this, and that you think what they did was wrong, and you think what they did was dishonest. That's what you need to do, because it's the only way that you're going to get these people to do the right thing. It's sad. It really is. I mean, at the end of the day, it is actually sad because. Look, Adrian is working hard, man. He's working really hard. And if you're going to work that hard and to see an organization like this just act like this, because here's the thing. If you're not, look, there's a lot of people that are running for office right now, but all they do is put their name on the ballot. They're not actually out there doing.
they're not campaigning.
Yeah, they're not actively
They're on the ballot,
campaigning.
but they're not campaigning.
Right.
Yeah. Adrian is actively campaigning, and the 8.7 was proof of that. For you to dismiss that, especially with a poll that had 3,000 people in it, is deliberate. You did this deliberately. That's North Florida, the University of North Florida. You did this deliberately, and I think that it's a sad state of affairs to see that. And this is one of the reasons that I don't think that we should fund colleges.
Right.
Because this is how they're going to act. So why bother giving them any money? Look, you want to act like this, then that's fine, but you shouldn't get taxpayer money to do this. You should have your funding removed completely, and you should live on your tuitions. And if people want to go to your stupid little college, then let them go to your stupid little college. But I guarantee you guys would not have the people you have. You want to talk about not having resources. You wouldn't have the resources now had you actually acted the right way. So I'm done with, these guys are, and this is not going to be the end of this, by the way, folks. This is not going to be the end of this. But here's the thing. The only way that you fight this is by every time that it happens, that you call these people up and you let them know what a bunch of horrible individuals they are.
Well, and what bothers me is that they basically said, well, we didn't have the resources to include the 20 filed candidates. But you did have the resources to include a candidate that hasn't filed, hasn't said that they're going to run. And there's speculation that they're not even going to run for that seat. They're going to run for a different one. And that speculation was made before you ran this poll. So you had the resources to include someone that you never should have included. It wasn't obvious. It wasn't blatant. It wasn't, of course we would include Charlie Crist. Why? What if the guy runs for Congress? Which he could.
Yeah, he hasn't officially announced he's running for governor.
Right.
He hasn't officially announced anything, and it's quite likely that if he decided to go for that seat that Bill Young is leaving, he's going to win it. I mean, that's a Pinellas County district. That's where Crist is from. That's what he is very
and
well liked.
There.
He's loved in Pinellas County. He will take that seat, and he will sit in that seat just like Bill Young did until he decides to leave it. He will be voted in every time. That's why I think he's going to run for that seat, honestly. I mean, I know there's a little bit of debate going on this, but I think, as governor, he's going to have term limits. Maximum, he's only going to be in there 8 years, and then he's gone. In Congress, he doesn't. He can sit there for the rest of his life if he wants, because he's going to get the votes.
Yeah, because Bill Young sat there for the rest of his life.
Yeah, 42 years. Well, 44 by the time he retires. So, I mean, definitely there is, I don't think he's going to run for Congress. I actually do think he's going to run for governor because they've already set a bunch of things in place. And I think John Morgan has put enough into him to make him run for governor.
Probably.
But I think that the smarter political choice, and it could be what he goes for, because it is a smarter political choice, would be for him to run for Congress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a smaller area.
Yeah, and he's well-liked there, and he's not well-liked throughout the state, but he is well-liked in that district.
Right. In Pinellas County, he's going to win. I mean, he won Pinellas County in the race for Senate.
Yes.
That you were in, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won Pinellas County hands down.
Mm-hmm.
He killed everybody.
It wasn't hands down. It was close. I mean, I was running neck and neck for at least for a second. Hold on. I can't even tell that lie. I can't even tell that lie. I couldn't do that. So, but at any rate, we got to make sure that we get these people in on. We got to make sure that we get these people in to be held accountable for their actions, and the polling services are going to do this. Again, we know that the support is out there. We see it everywhere we go, especially if you go like to non-political events and you talk to like, you know, just your average, I'm just trying to work to make a living up and down the street Joe. And when they hear about Adrian, they love him to death. And Adrian does a very good job of promoting the message. And he does a very good job of getting out there and promoting his campaign. And it's sad that it's sad that this has to happen, but it is what it is. So where are we going next, Danielle?
What has happened to your radio professionalism with segues?
I just want to get to the next thing, so.
He's done talking about Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on to another race that, there's been kind of, a little bit of a back and forth on is we have a special election here coming up in Pasco County.
I voted yesterday. You
did vote yesterday. The actual election will be on Tuesday. But this is the seat for Mike Fasano has moved to the tax collector's office. Now there's two people vying for his spot. That's Bill Gunter, the Republican, and Amanda Murphy, the Democrat. Now Mike Fasano, who held that seat and is very well liked in this district, has basically said at the beginning, please don't use my name in anything on both sides. And in not using my name, I'm not endorsing either candidate. Well, Bill Gunter kind of broke the rules a little and did use Mike Fasano's name in a couple different things. And Mike Fasano has actually come out and has not officially endorsed Amanda Murphy, but did announce that he did vote for her.
Yeah.
And also has been at campaign events for her. And has even paid for a robocall that complained to Pasco voters about Gunter.
Mm-hmm.
So he has not officially endorsed Amanda Murphy, but it seems that he's leaning towards liking her and at least voting for her and publicly announcing who he voted for just in case anyone was interested.
Yep. And to be honest with you, this is one of those things that me and Mike Fasano are in agreement.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with Mike Fasano on this because it is. Look, Bill Gunter is an insult of a candidate. Again, it's you're being insulted. His website has no information on it whatsoever. And look, Amanda seems to think Obamacare is a good idea, which I can't figure out why that is. And let's go to the phones. Let's go to the phones.
Yeah, we have a caller on the line. We have Greg from Daytona Beach. Greg, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, just remember you're live on the air, but we're on AM, so just in case.
Is this Greg that we know?
We've spoken before, yes.
Okay.
Greg, how you doing?
I'm good. I got this little input or a question regarding the polling and exclusion of Adrian.
Sure, go ahead.
These polls are paid for, subsidized by private individuals or private companies, private parties, correct?
Not this one.
Not the University of North Florida. This would, because it's part of their education program in the political science field, they run polls and they have their students do it. So this is actually paid for by the college.
And by the college is paid for by the taxpayer.
Right.
Well, they're getting an excellent political education in the two-party manipulation, aren't they?
Why, yes, they are.
Well, as a matter of fact, they are. Two-party 101 is exactly what they were studying at that point. But
It-
here's the
it
thing.
would
Let's go
seem
with
that-
the assumption that you had, though, and let's go with the assumption that you had, and ask the question that you were going to ask.
Well, here's the thing. If I have a candidate I want to push or expose or just test the water, I don't want my money going to help create awareness for his competition. So I have kind of a hard time crucifying the pollsters for doing just the job they're paid to do. Now, when they try to transition that work into saying this is the will of the people instead of only a slanted question, then that undermines their credibility. But there's no credibility in politics anyway, so we're back to square one. I'm having a hard time crucifying them. But maybe the way we can turn the tide and use that to Adrian's favor is for the Libertarian Party to commission their own poll. I mean, how much could it cost to call 1,000 voters?
$1,200. $1,200, and it's only with that would be the cheapest way that you could do it, and it would be not accepted by any of the polling companies. I happen to know because I did a poll when I ran for office.
They don't have to. The polling companies don't have to accept it. Just the media.
Well,
the media won't accept it.
Yeah, the media doesn't accept it unless it's from a few certain companies. For Adrian to get into the debates, he's going to have to be polling at 15% in a Mason-Dixon poll. We've already started looking into how much it's going to cost to commission a Mason-Dixon poll, and that is an avenue that we may take down the road. It is very expensive though, so we will have to raise a substantial amount of money to be able to commission that poll. But when the time is right, and if we have the resources, we will go that route.
Well, here's why I bring it up. Once you plant that flag, Mason-Dixon, PPP, whatever, and establishes his viability, then it guts the credibility of all subsequent polls that he's not included in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true, but
They may be waiting for the right time. The right time is now.
Well, here's the thing though. They just did a poll, and it was St. Pete polls that did it, and that had him at 8.7%. It had him at almost 9%. That was a poll that was actually a more scientific poll with a higher grouping of individuals. They did 3,000, where this latest poll only did 1,000, and they had Adrian at 8.7%. So, and again, I understand the point that you're making, but that was done already and then we didn't pay for that poll. That poll was done by St. Pete Polls, but they did that poll already. And this is the reaction from the University of North Florida is, well, we're not even going to use that information to add him to the next grouping. We're just going to exclude him out of it and go to the system that they go to now, which is 2 people, and then they may give you an unknown or some other category. So they're doing that. And again, I think I understand the point that you're trying to make when it comes to, hey, look, they're a private company. They're free to do that if they choose to do that. And you're absolutely right. Those companies, at the end of the day, are free to do that. Now, university, I would argue, is different because they are taxpayer funded. But it also gives us the freedom, and I think that this is what we're trying to use, is the ability to be able to influence, that we can call these companies up and say, you did wrong, we know you did wrong, and Adrian supporters can go ahead and do that and voice their concern with that organization, which is well within their First Amendment rights to be able to do that, just like the organization. Like, I'm not calling for the government to come in and do something about it. I'm saying you call and you make a difference yourself on that. But I'm sorry, caller, Greg, go ahead, please.
All right, it seems that the student body is some of the most active and influential change makers within a university system. And then there's a competition among schools. Perhaps a good tactic would be to reach out to the student newspapers of competing Florida universities and exposing this one university's transgression, and then trying to stir animosity on their own campus, UF, FSU, University of Miami, whatever, to challenge their own political science department to show the state and the world how Florida university system actually does honest political education, and put University of North Florida out there as the chump it is.
You know what? That's very, very...
Yes.
You actually make a good point, and it just so happens that I will be speaking to the students at the University of Florida on Saturday. So I will make sure that that I will mention this in with my speech. I'm in a panel discussion so happened to be about kind of which way do you choose, the Republican Party or the Libertarian Party. Very apropos that this is coming up at this moment in time, and I will take that. I will do that up in UF, and I will let them know kind of along the same lines of exactly what it is that you're saying.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that very much. That's we got to make sure we get we got to get the line. Make sure we're good on that line because that line did not come in good at all, huh?
Well,
it just happens.
Well, we can talk about it off air if you like.
Okay.
Wow, I think that's like the first time Greg has just been like shut you down. Like, yeah, like, we'll talk.
Are you detaining me?
I don't really want to talk technical stuff.
I got you. No,
That's
you're
not
right.
Good radio.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So back to the Fasano thing.
Well, actually, going back to his point, University of North Florida did that. I say we go to University of South Florida and get his idea and get North versus South.
That is true, and that's in our area. we could have
Greg
a
gets
turf
war. Greg gets a star for that. For the record. And I got to tell you, I think the University of South Florida throw us out too.
They probably would.
I know that they would probably.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
The University of Tampa has been rather favorable to Adrian.
Yeah, maybe we'll go do a University of Tampa poll.
Yeah.
So, are we okay? Any other point you wanted to make on the call? Okay.
That was it.
So back to the Fasano, or back to the seat for Fasano, back to the Murphy-Gunter race. Again, look, I don't agree with anybody in this race 100%. Matter of fact, I have some disagreements with both of the people that are running for office. For me, it's coming down to trust and somebody that will actually have an honest conversation. And, a lot of people go, wow, she's a Democrat, Obamacare. Well, you know what, though? The Republicans took the money at the state office. It ain't like she's going for a federal seat. And the Republicans took the money anyway. So, like,
and they're implementing it anyway.
Yeah, they're implementing it anyway, so it doesn't even matter. She likes Common Core. Yeah, and the Republicans do too, and that's why they got it all done and taken care of.
Passed unanimously.
Yeah, it passed unanimously. Everything else you've been talking to is lip service, and that's kind of been my problem with the GOP, is that for all the stuff that they claim to be all about, it's lip service. And again, it's not the up and down the street person; it's the politicians. So in this race, like I said, I went and voted, and it wasn't for Gunter. And
it was for Amanda Murphy.
Yeah, and look, man, I really do hope that Amanda Murphy wins this thing, if only for the reason that we cannot have establishment lapdogs like Gunter in these positions anymore. Look, and if Murphy doesn't do a good job, she's back up for election in a year. She doesn't do a good job, then hey, somebody's going to challenge her and replace her. I'd like to see a libertarian in the seat. I'd like to be represented by a libertarian, to be honest with you. And this is where I live. But we'll see what Murphy does. Her husband was pretty close to being a libertarian, even though he was a Dem. I think you're seeing an insurgence in the Democrat Party of some people that are probably more along the lines of us. But at the same time, they got to get this. The federal government shouldn't be doing stuff out of their craw. Because that part's bad, but we'll talk. And again, Amanda will entertain that conversation.
Yes,
she may not agree with you, but she'll entertain it.
She'll take it into consideration and really, really kind of process what you're saying to her. She will listen.
And you got to remember, she's going to vote on stuff too. So let her vote on stuff. Let's see what the voting record's going to end up being here. She doesn't have a voting record right now because she's never been in office before, which is another good sign. But then again, neither one of them have been in office before. But this is Amanda's first run. Gunter ran and lost to Jack Mariano for city council
last year.
Yeah, last year. But let's take a break. We're going to play a couple commercials, and then we'll be back. And where are we going? Where are we going next? Are we going Stand Your Ground, or are we going Shutdown? What are you going to do?
We're going to Brandon Jones from the Global
Dispatch. Oh, yeah, we're going to go to Brandon Jones from the Global Dispatch. Okay, we're going with Brandon when we get back. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Oh, welcome back to Liberty Underground. Sorry about that. If you want to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. That is 1-800-525-4032. That is the Refresh Telecom lines. But on the phone with us right now, a good friend of the program, a person that we are going to be hopefully sitting next to. Hopefully I don't get the one seat in between me and Brandon when we go and see the Fifth Estate next week. Hopefully he'll sit right with me in case for the scary parts where he'll hold my hand. Brandon,
Where
how you
am
doing?
I going to sit then?
You can sit on the other side. Brandon, how you doing?
How is everyone?
We're doing
good.
We're doing well, man. How are you doing?
Oh, very, very blessed. I tell you again, thank you again for having us out at the Unity in Action event. That was a fun time. Good to put some faces with some names that I hadn't met yet personally.
Yeah, and it was really nice. Brandon, you were kind of a popular guy there.
I don't know about that, but it was able to try to make the best of the event, and got to make some great connections. So.
No, and I think the information that you were giving out as well when it came to how you can move things forward in social media and be able to, to do that. I think with some pretty valuable information. I appreciate you going out there and giving that out to people.
Well, it's just important for people to understand, I think, how information has changed with Google, Facebook, Twitter, and those kinds of things. And I explained it a lot through the lens of what we're doing, but obviously a lot of those same things are applicable whether you have your own website or blog or what have you. And that was kind of the whole point, is to say, this is what we're doing, how we're doing it, but it's not exclusive to us. So let's do this together. So it was good. It was good. It was good to see the response of some questions people had. So really seemed to get some wheels turning.
No, that's good. Now, when it comes to the Global Dispatch, what is some of the big what's some of the big stories that are out there this week that are really that are the ones that you really want to make sure are being promoted?
Well, I'll run through real quick because we've had a week long of government shutdown stuff, and then you can decide if you want to elaborate on any of these, because it is. So let me first apologize for all of you weird news addicts. I'm sorry. I've had to have a little bit of a vacation from weird news because of something like this, and you'll know why when I read down how many there are. So because of the government shutdown, we now have a restaurant, a privately owned restaurant in Yorktown that is being shut down. We have used resources to track down and find joggers in the Valley Forge National Park. Immigration reform has moved forward with their rally on the National Mall, despite the fact that everything else appears to be shut down. If you visit the Vietnam Vet Memorial, you might have noticed that we go ahead and arrest the Vietnam vets because they, quote, violated curfew. We even tried to invoke a ban on fishing in the Florida Key area because it is also under the guise of the National Park area, that whole 1,000 square mile area.
They try to close down the ocean.
Yeah, we'll try to close the ocean. We'll shut it down. Yeah. Amber Alert went down for a while because Michelle Obama's Let's Move Up was, those resources were there. It didn't slow down. And then, of course, we had a ton of other stuff, which my favorite was we even had the closure of, quote, scenic overlooks. That's my favorite.
At Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had cones out. Didn't get to that. The cones are out so they could reroute traffic so you can't even physically see Mount Rushmore. And, of course, today, is the day where we'll see how the DOT is being instructed to use the National Guard and other resources to shut down I-495. That's our headline right now because of the, quote, trucker protest. So the solution to stopping the truckers from protesting and creating gridlock is to create gridlock using the National Guard.
That's what
it's brilliant.
And that's what I find so funny about this is they're saying, well, we understand the right to protest, but we can't have them all coming into DC because it will create gridlock. So we'll close down the roads because that would make it better.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's government for you, and it doesn't make any sense. And it never does. And I guess when you mention all of those stories, Brandon, what is the common theme that you think that the administration is trying to do here?
Pain.
Yeah.
Suffering. Mm-hmm. Inconvenience. Those evil GOPers, those people that are standing up against us passing a budget because he said, quote, I believe, pass everything and then we'll negotiate. Because we know he has a track record of doing that. We know the first 5 years he's negotiated so many times, and the Republicans have always negotiated different issues and line items that they wanted because we know that's the way to go. But it's create pain and havoc because let's face it, we started out with 40% of a shutdown. We had about 40% of people on furlough. We're down to about 15. So the less and less government shutdown is now just stuff that's just an inconvenience and a burden just to irritate people.
Yeah, because we're still drone bombing people.
Yeah, they shut down everything but the killy parts.
Yeah, the killy parts are all still there.
Parts are there. I mean, and I have to say,
we didn't close the golf course, right? His private golf course out at Camp David, that remained open. We talked about Michelle's website, that stayed up. All those kinds of things. Those things matter.
Well, we can't interfere with the president's golf game.
Yeah, I actually went onto the FEC website with that. That's the the Federal Elections Commission website, and it basically doesn't allow you to search for any, political parties or PACs or anything like that. The search function is closed down because of furloughs, which I find odd because I know at least a little bit about how a website works, and that's a database. Like there is no person. Like when you click in that you want to, when you hit search, it's not like a person starts looking through files for you. It's a database. It's automatic, but you cannot search any information on the Federal Election Commission website because of employee furloughs.
You made me realize that I should go into the code and change my error page messages to blame the government shutdown. So if you ever go to the Global Dispatch for having a traffic crash or you got a page error, I should just put in this big, fancy, glossy thing that talks about government shutdown. I'm going to do that after we're done here.
Well, and I've kind of seen a little controversy over the trucker protest to begin with because some people are saying that they're unions, that this is the Teamsters, but then some people are saying, well, no, it's they believe in the Constitution. Some are saying that it's kind of a ruse. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I do understand the right to protest. So I don't think that the government should be shutting down roads, blocking them from protesting, regardless of what side they're on.
I've been following the trucker protest a little bit and reading their information. Most of their stances, align a lot with what Tea Party groups say. Mm-hmm. Sort of libertarian, more right wing, but they're basically the same gripes with the Obama administration and the federal government that the Tea Party's putting out there, and they're organizing this protest to do it. And I don't support everything that they're saying, but I agree with their right to protest, and I think that anybody standing up to the government is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. What else is going on out there, Brandon?
I tend to get a little Alex Snicker on the next two things, so we'll take them one at a time so that I don't blow a conniption fit, because I had to wake up to the horrible news that Malala Yousafzai did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. And it was a little shocking because this is a little teenage girl that has been fighting for girls' education rights and those kinds of things. She was attacked on a bus in Pakistan, shot in the head by Taliban, rushed off to a British hospital and saved. And she now has a new book coming out, all of those. And if you hadn't had a chance, you can Google her name and you can see the Jon Stewart piece where she basically floored him because he asked her about what she'd do if she was approached again. And she basically said, I'll just tell them what I stand for. If they shoot me again, they shoot me again, basically. And she represents everything the award is supposed to represent. I know it's politicized. I know it doesn't really mean anything. But to give it to some no-name advocacy group for chemical weapons that has done nothing yet, it's like an award of good intentions, it was just nauseating. And I fight back all of the Snicker-type rants and raves that roll around in my head.
Well, isn't that what they did with Obama?
Yeah.
I mean, he hadn't done anything yet. Right. It was all based on his intentions.
Yeah, the presumption of him doing something down the road. Where this little girl, has just been what a phenomenal story, and what a courageous girl that she is. And for her not to win it just out of pure courage and everything that she's gone through. It's beyond me, and I agree with you, Brandon. It's such a travesty, and it really angers me to see that she didn't win.
And just to make it even more nauseating, to pour some more salt in the wound, the other person that was really the high-profile candidate is a gynecologist that's gone to the Congo to open up a clinic to help all the girls that are being raped by the rebels there. So he didn't win either. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The people who were doing good work.
The two people who have done something, who are helping people who are, victims of violence and trying to bring about a peaceful change, they get disregarded.
Exactly.
So let me race to my other. I had to do it as an op-ed because I couldn't keep my opinion out of it. So the Washington Redskins fiasco still continues on now that our president has spoken out that the Washington Redskins should change their name. I put together an op-ed because all of the press ignore the fact, or at least their spin is, we don't know how many Native Americans are offended. Well, in fact, we do. There was a 2004 survey done by the Annenberg Group, and it found that 90% of Native Americans are not offended by the term redskin. So if you hear that, you have to know it's buffoonery, because that's just not the results that they wanted to hear, so that's why they're ignoring it. And I went so far as to quote, I had to search really deep because it was a very obscure website. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Wikipedia. You ever go there? I don't know if you've ever gone there or not.
I don't know. I thought
that was a porn site. Oh, never
Well,
mind.
it might be, depending on if you type the words wrong or put .com or .org in the wrong place, depending on who you talk to. But it discusses the origins of the team's name and how the owner in 1933, George Preston Marshall, recognized the head coach, Lone Star Dietz. I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly because he's a Sioux Indian. So it was created to honor their head coach.
And at the time, the head coach liked it, though, right? I mean, the head coach liked it, right?
Of course. I mean, it's been reiterated time and time again. This is now, this is in 1933, so we're talking about like 80 years. And now we have, quote, some people that are offended. So, yeah, I had to put away my snicker in response to that.
All right. I'm glad you were able to do that. I know it's very difficult sometimes to put the snicker away.
I love that you've become an adjective.
Yes.
You know what's
It's
funny?
more like a verb. To me, it's a verb. It's like an action. It's just that I describe it with an adjective. I don't know. I'm working on it.
Maybe an adverb.
I don't know. I don't even know what you people are talking about. All right. What else is out there, Brandon?
The U.S. military, the Army is now moving forward on their Iron Man suit. If you haven't seen or read the details on this, you may like to know the suit is likely to use a liquid armor that can transform to something solid and literally, quote, literally walk through a stream of bullets. It will have an exoskeleton with power monitoring, health monitoring, and integrated weaponry. So feel free to check that out on the Global Dispatch because I can't make these things up.
It sounds like Terminator 2.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it does have a little Terminator 2-esque quality to it.
I don't know if I trust our government to make that and put that out.
I hope I can get one. I just hope I can get one. I'd like to be able to get one of those. That'd be a fun suit to wear. Mikey, my son would love that to death because he's a big Iron Man guy.
Yeah, he is.
So I'm hoping we can do that. Anything else out there, Brandon?
Well, we're going to have a great show tomorrow on Dispatch Radio. They're here on Tan Talk. It's from 8 to 9 in the morning, Saturday. We do have two of the zombies from Walking Dead. Walking Dead does return on Sunday, so feel free to tune in, be able to catch up a little bit on how the behind-the-scenes work, how they got recruited to become zombies, the makeup process, those kinds of things, and even their insight a little bit on zombie school, which I find extremely fascinating.
Zombie school, like I mean, I'm gonna have to hear this one. To be honest, I'm gonna have to tune in on this one. Hear what's going on with zombie school. I'd like to get to zombie school. To be honest with you, I think it would be fun. That would make me less angry during the day, so I could just be a zombie.
Is that University of North Florida?
Oh, Greg with the zingers.
His
His name is Brandon. The website is theglobaldispatch.com. Brandon, again, thank you so much for calling in, sir.
Have a good one and talk hard.
Talk hard. Nice. Like it. Always love Brandon, man. Always love Brandon. Oh, wait, what's going on there? What are we doing? Hey now. Hey-oh. Hey-oh.
It was muted.
It was
no one knows what you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That happens all the time. You need to give us like some kind of signal that says you can hear it, but nobody else can.
Yeah, I don't know what to do there.
Okay, I answered the phone call while we were coming out of break, and when the phone call comes in, it overrides the player of the music. So when Brandon's call ended, it automatically picked up where it stopped, and that's
But it was
why you
muted.
heard. But it was muted here on the board, so no one else heard it.
So
So you
only
guys
we
heard
heard it.
2 seconds of music and reacted to it, and no one else knows what you're talking about.
And now we've wasted a whole minute because of our bad reaction.
Yes, because now again, I have to explain technical stuff on the air.
I like it when you explain
Wait.
technical stuff on the air, to be honest with you. It makes you look really smart.
You
man.
guys will appreciate this. We're for transparency here, Greg.
Everything out in the open. I'm not muting anything anymore.
Nothing's getting muted ever. I'm coughing on air. I don't care.
It was something that we did talk about with Brandon, which I actually did want to bring up, is this Mount Rushmore blockage.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that they're closing down the parks. I mean, I don't understand it. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're closing down monuments. They're closing down the parks. But they closed the roads where if you were driving on the road, you would see Mount Rushmore, just in the distance. So they've rerouted traffic to where you won't be able to see it as you're driving.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. It really is.
It's one of those things. It's like they want to do this just to make it painful. Now, what's happening now because of this, the political fallout because of these shutdown stuff, which is the thing I want to bring up till the end of the show, which we only got a couple minutes anyway, or into the hour, is that everybody's taking a hit for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Republicans are being blamed more than Democrats are being blamed. And the polling numbers for the approval rating for the Republicans is as low as it's ever been. I think it's as low as it's ever been in recorded history. Like it's really, really low. And the president's going down. He's pretty low right now
He's
too.
in
The
the
Democrat,
30s.
yeah, the Democrats are going down. They're down too. Now they're blaming Democrats more than Republicans, but they're blaming both sides. And the fallout that's going to happen from this is not really known right now. It's not known exactly what the fallout's going to be, but I think that it's going to be a huge amount of fallout. Because I think that I think when it comes to election time, everybody's going to get blamed for this one.
Yeah.
And that leaves it leaves chaos. It will leave chaos in some of these elections, which I happen to love. I happen to really want to see some chaos because something good could come from this. Because it's not like anything's good coming from it now.
No, I agree with you. I think that we need to bottom out. And I think that we're kind of we haven't really gotten there as much as everybody complains that things are bad. I don't think that we've bottomed out, and I don't think that we've seen enough of the chaos for enough people to say, like, I've had enough. So I don't welcome the bad things and the chaos, but I do in one way do welcome it so that we can hit the bottom and start rebuilding, because I think that needs to happen.
What I do love about the shutdown and what we're seeing is we're seeing everything that we as libertarians have been advocating for coming to life.
Yeah.
We have a gentleman who stepped out onto the lawn of the Lincoln Memorial and started mowing the grass on his own.
Yes.
With his own money, with his own time, of his own volition. He was not coerced by force. He was not paid for this. In fact, he was removed by force. The cops came and told him he can't do this.
Yeah.
A private firm has stepped up and is going to be paying the death benefits for spouses whose husbands or wives died overseas in the military. A private organization is stepping up to pay those benefits until the government figures out what they're going to do.
Yeah, which is the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And it is the point that we have been making forever, that without government in place doing these things, if something needs to be done, people will step up and do what needs to be done. We don't have to have government forcing us. We don't have to have government taxing us and telling us what we need to do. We know what needs to be done, and we'll get it done. Get out of our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Greg, God bless you.
I do. No, I love it. And we've been saying it all week as we've heard these stories out. Not only did that guy start mowing the Lincoln Memorial, but other people saw him and started going out there and taking out the trash and washing the windows and things like that. So, good people inspire more goodness, and other people go out and do that. And, and we're seeing more and more stories like this. We started to see it in Detroit when Detroit fell apart. And now we're seeing it all over the country with these shutdowns. Good people do come to the aid of everybody. They do it all the time. And when someone stands up and does good, other people stand with them. And the shutdown has been, funny, and it's been a joke, and it's been serious as well. But it's also kind of reaffirmed my faith in humanity, because people have stepped up and just done the right thing just because it's the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, it's very nice to see. Now, the one story that I did want to get to, and this is actually, it ends up being on Drudge, that goes along with this, and this is that poll. Americans find little to like in Washington. So this is the story from the AP. Americans are finding very little they like about President Barack Obama or either political party, according to a new poll that suggests the possibility of a throw-the-bums-out mentality in next year's midterm elections. The AP GFK poll finds few people approve of the way the president is handling most major issues, and most people say he's not decisive, strong, honest, reasonable, or inspiring. In the midst of the government shutdown and Washington gridlock, the president is faring much better than his party, with large majorities of those surveyed finding very little positive to say about Democrats. The negatives are even higher for the Republicans across the board, with 4 out of 5 people describing the GOP as unlikable and dishonest and not compassionate, refreshing, inspiring, or innovative. Now, let me say something else right here. In hour number 1, we talked about, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, all that kind of stuff. At what point are we going to say that the stigma that is the Republican Party is too much?
Well, I already say it.
You know, their stigma's too much to try to fix, guys. We're going to have to go with something like the Libertarian Party, which has much, more favorable ratings. So I'm sorry. It's a two-party system you want. It looks like the American people have spoken, and 4 out of 5 don't like the GOP. And that means that there's a lot of Republicans in that list, too, that don't like what they're doing either. Maybe it's time to come over to the LP. Just saying. Just putting it out there. I'm only using the polling numbers to back it up. So we'll have to go with that. So hour number 2 is in the bag. Hour number 3 is coming up. We still got a minute, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm starting the minute up here. So hour number 2 is in the bag. Hour number 3 is going to be coming up on Ustream. We will be moving over to the YouTube channel pretty soon here, which is always nice to be able to have.
Which is the 1787 Network, if you want to find us on YouTube.
Yep, and like the show, again, probably next week is when we'll be using that one full board, depending on how the testing goes. Greg will be beta testing today, which is always nice to be able to have Greg when he is beta testing, because Greg's a beta tester. He's beta testing all the time.
Beta like the fish?
Yeah, kind of beta like the fish.
Can we put him in like a little tiny... Do we have to keep him separate from all the other fish?
I will eat the other fish.
I will crush your head. Don't panic. I'm only crushing your head. Crush, 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 crush. I can't see you.
My gosh.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to break.
All right, you're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back, Liberty Underground, hour number 3. If you'd like to call the program, the Refresh Telecom lines is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom lines, 1-800-525-4032. Hour number 3, which can sometimes be a free-for-all hour. We'll see where we go. We you know what the great thing about this show is? You never really know for sure where we're going to go. We could go a lot of different places.
Always plenty to talk about.
Always plenty to talk about. One thing I did want to bring up, and this was not something that I had brought up previously. It kind of fits with some of it, but when it comes to the shutdowns, how nobody is, none of the people are really popular right now, that, people are hating on both parties. The establishment of the GOP does have somebody that they're blaming, and they are blaming what they call the Tea Party faction of the GOP for the shutdown. And this goes from county chairman to national party luminaries, veterans Republicans, and this is from the AP. From county chairman to national party luminaries, veterans Republicans across the country are accusing Tea Party lawmakers of staining the GOP with their refusal to bend in the budget impasse in Washington. So, in 2010, let's break this down so you can have a full understanding of this. In 2010, the GOP not only embraced the Tea Party fully, but they basically tried to co-op it. And they got some people elected that were running on the mantra that the Tea Party was wanting to run on, which is that we need to do something about the out-of-control spending going on in Washington, D.C. We're not happy with Obamacare. We don't like how this thing is being done. And so we want to replace those people in office with some new people. And that was done. And so there were some people like Justin Amash, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, but he was 2012. Even Rubio, even though he's totally an establishment hack all day long, was one of those guys that actually got elected for that. And within RECs, you had some people that were getting committee man and committee woman things. Some of the Ron Paul people actually were able to take over a couple states, at least for a temporary time frame. They were able to do that. Well, now the establishment is coming back because they realize. Look, the one thing that everybody should realize is that these people that are up there that are with us, you can count them basically on one hand in Washington D.C. I mean, there's only so many of these people up there that are with us, and Florida, for having 27 different politicians up there in the federal level.
Well, yeah, 27 altogether.
Out of having 27 in Florida, you have one, Ted Yoho, and he won in 12.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody else up there from Florida. There is not one other person that is even remotely limited government that is up there. A lot of these guys have been up there for a long, long time, some 40 years plus. I mean, these guys, and these people are despicable human beings, and they're not good. But what you're seeing is a pushback from the establishment because you knew that this was going to happen, though. Look, they're not going to give up their party that you're trying to take over and make a different party than the establishment cronyism party that they have created. You're messing in their Kool-Aid. And that's what's going on now. And you're seeing a pushback of that, which is why I always suggest that you don't do it through the GOP. Because, again, these guys control the money of the GOP, which means they control the primary process of the GOP. And so good people that we like, very, very few times are going to actually make it through. It's the establishment people that are paid for there that can actually get it done.
Well, I mean, and you see it. They don't want liberty people, because when they have them, they primary them right away. And if you see an establishment Republican, it's almost unheard of to see a real primary challenger. Because that's a big no-no. You don't primary an incumbent, because you may lose the seat or whatever. But when there's a liberty person in there, like Justin Amash, they primary him every time. And this time, he has a serious primary challenger in the Republican Party. So they don't want you there.
Yeah, that's your evidence. The people who think they're going to change things by going through the GOP, this is what's going to happen to you. They're going to stab you in the back. They might welcome you at first, but they are going to stab you in the back as soon as you're not towing the line. And that's what they're doing to the Tea Party people. And the whole thing is, all of them are doing exactly what they said they were going to do and exactly what they were elected to do.
Right.
Every one of these Tea Party people that is being demeaned in the media now stood up in their campaigns and said, I am going to go and fight Obamacare by whatever means necessary. I am going to go and bring fiscal responsibility back to our government. That's what they're doing.
Well, I would say Rubio's not doing that, but
well, we know that he was full of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. The reality is he was stealing Alex's talking points throughout that campaign.
Exactly.
When Alex was gaining favor because of saying that, Rubio started saying that.
Right.
But guys like Justin Amash, guys like Ted Cruz, the people who are being called out by name and being demeaned by the Republican Party, because Rubio isn't part of that.
Oh yeah, no, they love him up there.
But that's what they ran on. And that's the whole point the Democrats are making. They're like, well, we won the elections. We were elected to put Obamacare in, so you just got to deal with it. Well, now you have to deal with it. That's what these people were elected for. Doesn't matter that they're the minority. The people in those districts heard their campaign, heard what they were saying, and said, I'm voting this person in. And that's what they're doing. They are there doing exactly what they were elected to do. And the GOP doesn't want that, so all the establishment guys are turning and stabbing them in the back. And they're leaving them hung out to dry. And they're being disparaged in the media. They're probably going to be crushed by establishment challengers in their primaries coming up in the next election cycle, and we're going to be back to the establishment GOP that we had. So if you were trying to change things by going through the GOP, it's not going to happen, and you can see it now.
Well, and they're throwing you out, and they're doing everything they can to throw you out.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to do that. And you need to understand. Here's the thing: you need to understand it, and you need to act accordingly. I mean, how many? Look, we talked to the group up in the east part of North Florida, and I'm not going to get any more specific than that because I don't think I have. I've been waiting to get permission to bring these people on to the show to actually explain this.
Oh, right.
But their Tea Party was co-opted from the initial start, and the people there were kind of okay with it in the beginning because they thought that they believed the hype. They're like, well, we got to do it through the GOP because they're going to be able to get it done now. But then they started trying to do things. Like they were like, well, we're going to go to city council meetings.
They wanted
we're going
to be
start
activists.
Yeah, they wanted to get much more active in politics and not necessarily towing the line of the GOP. Well, the GOP didn't want anything to do with that, and basically took their group from them, took all their money from them, and they had to sue in order to get their name back, which they were able to win that one. They lost the money one, but they won the one to be able to get their name back. And then the GOP tried to form another Tea Party group, but by that time the cat was out of the bag and nobody ever showed up to it. So that's what these Republicans do, is that they don't want honest dissent. They want people that are going to fall in line and do as they're told. And they're going to tell you that it's for good reasons. Like, we agree with you when it comes to the Constitution. They don't. No. I'm sorry, folks. They don't. And I only have the proof of every elected, or 90% of the elected officials. I'd say 95 in Florida. I don't even know of any on a statewide level that are worth anything. Maybe Brandis is okay, but even Brandis made the kangaroo court, so he can't be that good.
Right. Even Brandis has made mistakes against liberty.
Oh, yeah, and big ones. I mean, huge ones.
Right.
Especially with the latest one, we're making the magistrates for the red light cameras. That way, in order to challenge it, it's even harder to challenge it, And it ups the fine if you do. It's almost like you're playing making a risky proposition where if you lose, you're going to lose $250 minus the $150 you'd have lost if you'd have just paid the ticket. Because they don't want you to challenge things. They want you to do as you're told and pay the ticket. Republicans are in charge here. They're in charge in Florida, which is why things haven't changed, because it's just the Republicans up there, which have been up there for a long time. And you can see this now with, I was going to go to this one, but I figured this is a good segue. It goes along with things like Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground revisions okayed by Senate panel. And this is from the Current. And the Current actually is it's more of a lobbyist website than anything else. Is that a good way of saying it?
No, it's definitely a lobbyist website. I get so much from this website. The Florida Current. It's a really, really good website. There is a little bit of spin, there's a little bit of conjecture when you read these articles, but for the most part, they do stay very clinical.
Yeah, they do a very good job of staying clinical. I think it's even less than what you just said, but I mean, I'll go with that. And from this article, in a compromise hailed as a rare bipartisan cooperation by two senators, but dismissed as elegant window dressing by a powerful House leader, a legislative committee took the first step Tuesday toward clarifying Florida's much-debated Stand Your Ground self-defense law. State Senator David Simmons, a Republican from Altamont Springs, is the author of the 2005 statute, and Senate Minority Leader Chris Smith, Democrat of Fort Lauderdale, who opposes the concept, compromised two bills tweaking the 2005 statute in the Senate Judiciary Committee. The committee's substitute that emerged from a 2-hour hearing would require sheriffs and police chiefs to issue ground rules for neighborhood watch associations and clearly specify that anyone who provokes a violent confrontation may not hide behind the Stand Your Ground defense. So basically, if you're being attacked, you're not able to utilize something there to say that, well, I was being attacked. The merged proposal, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. That's not what it says. I know the two bills that they merged. What it's saying is if you didn't do everything you possibly could to leave a violent situation, then you can't stand behind Stand Your Ground.
Yeah, which eliminates Stand Your Ground, because then you can't stand your ground.
Right.
So the merged proposal, SB 122 and SB 130, also contain a potentially difficult civil liability provision, allowing innocent bystanders or other third parties to sue someone over injury or death caused by a self-defense action. Simmons and Smith said that the existing law grants immunity from not only criminal prosecutions but civil liability for law-abiding citizens who use their weapons in self-defense rather than retreating from a potentially deadly situation.
What happened here is, you used to, if let's say there was someone coming after you and shots were fired and it happened, there was a stray bullet that hit someone else who was innocent that was not involved in the situation, you had immunity, not only criminal prosecution but civil prosecution. That person couldn't sue you for harming them because you didn't mean to, you weren't trying to harm them, and you were defending your own life. And that's what happened. But now what will happen is that person, this innocent person that may have been, shot by a stray bullet while you were trying to protect yourself, could sue you civilly. They could go after you civilly in civil court. You still cannot be convicted of a crime. You can't be arrested for a crime. It's not criminal prosecution. But this is a civil liability where now you could have to pay damages to that person. And you're running the risk in that where people are going to think twice about protecting their own person or property, because if I don't shoot right the first time, if it bounces off something, if there's damage somewhere else, I could lose everything. So you're going to have people that are going to hesitate before defending themselves. I think that's a bad thing, although I understand the argument that an innocent bystander is an innocent bystander and they shouldn't be, they should have recourse for you, involving them in the situation. I think it's kind of putting in a situation where you're losing part of the right to defend yourself.
Greg?
Well, it's just incredible that, we care about innocent bystanders here, but, not anywhere else.
That is true.
The collateral damage is what we call them anywhere else.
Yeah, I got you. A drone strike bombs somebody and kills a bunch of innocent bystanders, and it's called collateral damage. A person defending themselves and something bad happens, and we should put that person in jail.
Yeah,
well,
and allow them to be sued.
Sued civilly.
Yeah, and allow them to be sued.
I don't know. To me, it's a knee-jerk reaction. All of the media hype that happened around the George Zimmerman case, that's what this is about. They're trying to do damage control over all of the bad press that Stand Your Ground got during that trial. So they're trying to do something to appease people who are upset over that. And really, they just don't need to touch it because, as we've talked about before, Stand Your Ground had absolutely nothing to do with that trial at all.
Right.
It was never even said. It wasn't even part of the defense. It had nothing to do with it. But that doesn't matter because it was the media talking point.
Right.
And that just comes back to something that we've talked about before again, in that the media has more power than a lot of what the lawmakers do, because the media can affect public opinion. The public goes to the lawmakers, and then the lawmakers are just trying to pander to these people. And whatever's going to get me reelected, it doesn't matter whether it's a good law or a bad law, as long as they're going to vote for me. Yeah. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what you want to know one of the scariest responses that you'll ever hear from a politician is that we got to do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's bad. And when it's bipartisan support, you should be doubly scared.
Yeah.
When we got to do something and it's bipartisan, oh boy, we're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
Man, we're in trouble when you start doing stuff
Because
like
the
this.
only thing they agree on is taking our rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely agree on that. That does show bipartisan support. Tyranny does have a special interest lobbying group, and they are well represented in both the Republican and Democrat parties.
Yeah.
See, when I hear the word bipartisan, it just means to me that they are working together now to take my money and my freedoms.
Right.
Yeah. Neither one of them are going to try to be like, oh, no, I'm on your side on this one, man. It's, you shouldn't worry about this stuff.
But make no mistake, these are Republican-controlled House and Senate. So, I mean, to get this through anywhere in Florida, you don't need bipartisan support because Republicans control both.
Yeah.
And the governor's mansion. So, I almost wonder why the GOP is pandering to the left so much when they control the House and the Senate. Because this is what this is. Because they're going to go back to their own districts and be crucified by their own party. They're definitely going to lose support within their own party. So, you have to wonder why. I mean, why they're pandering to the left. And not that I'm saying that, I think all, viewpoints should be represented. I have to wonder why it's happening, and you have to wonder what comes next, because I've seen these two bills. Both of the bills were really horrible bills. And so for them to just combine the worst parts of all of them and put them into one bill isn't a good thing.
No, not at all. And again, this was my worry in what was going on up there. And that's why I said there was 5 of these bills. Something is going to get passed. And I think what's going to be passed is going to be something that's going to get a lot of people killed. I know they go, well, this law is getting a lot of people killed. No, this one got Trayvon Martin killed, but Trayvon Martin was not an innocent bystander in this.
And it had nothing to do. This law did not get
Trayvon Martin.
It had nothing to do with Trayvon Martin.
And I think that we need to get out of the thinking that a law or an inanimate object gets anyone killed. It doesn't. People do this. Situations arise where something happens. And it's always on the person. It's never on the law or on the inanimate object. And changing the law isn't going to stop these things. Changing the law isn't going to stop someone who's hell-bent on defending themselves to defend themselves. If I feel like I'm in danger, I'm going to defend myself. That's human nature, regardless of the law. And if you have someone who is mentally unstable, who is evil, and is hell-bent on hurting someone, they're going to do it regardless of the law. These laws don't stop behavior.
Yeah. No, I completely with you.
And this is the kind of law that has nothing to do with the bad people.
Right.
This has to do with good people standing up for themselves, now finding themselves in trouble.
Yeah, you're taking the rights away from good people because the bad people aren't going to worry about your laws anyways.
And it's legislating us into a situation where we're under someone else's thumb. We ultimately have no control over ourselves. It's just like Obamacare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but this is what you're dealing with in there. This is, again, we go back to this every time. You cannot trust these guys that are in Washington and in Tallahassee right now. You cannot trust them because they have already shown to you that they're not trustworthy. And you can be like, Charlie Brown with the football, but eventually you got to remember she's going to pull that thing every time. And I think people have started to really get that And that's why you're seeing growths in the Libertarian Party, why you're seeing growths overall in people just going MPA. That number is huge too. That's a much bigger number. That people going MPA is getting up there. And for me, at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. What I would personally like to see, each one of the parties represent, have about 10% of the public.
10 to 15, yeah.
10 to 15. I would argue 10 because once you get to 15, depending on the number of parties you add, it actually takes the majority away from those that are being independent. So I think that you got to have 10%, but let's say you have 4 different parties that are the major parties out there. You got the Democrats, Republicans, the Greens, and the Libertarians. Let's go with those 4 because those are the 4 Constitution parties in there as well. And there's some other parties too, but again, let's go with these 4. 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% would be 40%. That means 60% out there is independent, MPA. They're not affiliated with any party. That alone would so drastically change the kinds of politicians that you would have, first off. That would really just totally change the kinds of politicians that you would see. And then how they ran for office would not mean that they would run for, they'd have to run to their base. They'd have to run to the independents.
Right.
And then I think you'd have a much more honest debate, and people would not look at it like, well, we got to vote for one of these 2 big guys or this guy's going to win. That whole splitting the vote and all that other stuff, all of that goes away at that point.
No,
because they have to all cater to that. And I think that's where libertarians will actually win the day. Well, I think that because you get a level playing field and we're able to argue the case, I think we'd win the day there.
Well, I think people are generally libertarian. People generally just want to live their life and be free and be left alone. I don't remember where we heard this, but we heard this week somewhere, is that Americans just are they're naturally rebellious. They're naturally just our culture is very naturally don't tell me what to do.
From the inception of this country.
Yes.
And we started that way. We started as a rebellious colony.
So I definitely think that the average person is libertarian, but I think that we get stuck in these labels and we're not really focusing on the ideology, where I think if we took away all the labels, I think the ideals, the principles of libertarianism would always prevail.
Yeah.
Well, we have a caller on the line. We have Karina on the line here. Karina, are you there?
Are you there, Karina? Karina, are you there?
I think we lost her.
Oh, did you? All right, we'll call back Karina. Yeah, cut her off, call her back. Have her give a call back.
Yeah.
No, I would really like to see that be the case. Where, look, I want people to register libertarian all day long because we got to get our numbers up like everybody's got to get their numbers up. We got to get to the 10%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we got to get there. So I don't mind getting there. But if people are saying that they're leaving the 2 major parties and they're going independent, which I hear a ton. I hear a ton. Okay, so because I hear that a ton already, I want to see more of that, and I'm happy for the change. I really am. I think that is going to be the thing that ends up saving this country. I mean, you got to remember, the first president of the United States was not a party person. He was George Washington. He was independent.
He spoke out against parties.
Yeah, he didn't like parties.
Most of the founders spoke out against political parties.
Yeah. Notice that nowhere in the Constitution is political parties mentioned at all.
No.
There are no provisions for parties. There is no special treatment for parties, for or against. There's nothing. Yeah. Parties were not considered to be an important part of our government, and they didn't want the parties to have power.
Yeah. And what they're looking at right now is horrible. Again, I think that the founding fathers, if they came back, would join the LP, though. But that's just me.
All right, I think we got Karina back on the line. Karina, are you here?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Now we're hearing you. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Awesome. I got a new phone, and I don't know where to talk into it.
She doesn't know where to talk into the new phone.
Oh, man.
I think technology might be moving too fast when we don't know what end of the phone we need to talk into.
It's moving too fast for Karina. Oh, my gosh. The phone, what do I talk into this thing? I don't know.
Which
I'm new here. I'm new. Go ahead, Karina. Did you have something you wanted to add to our witty conversation?
Yes, I appreciate the insight into Campaign for Liberty, because, I went to that one event and was the token libertarian in a room full of about 50 people. And I think by the end of the day, the table of 8 that were sitting at the table realized that I was libertarian, and I had I had at least half of them convinced to vote for Adrian and Lucas, so that was good.
Yeah, that is good. Now, and again, it was one of those things where, hey, Karina, and you know, it's good that you called for this because I want to ask you a question because you know me and you know good and all the good and all the bad. When you told me you were going to that event, I'd already known a lot of the stuff that they had going on. Did I try to persuade you from going to that event?
No, actually, I found out the night before that the Republican Liberty Caucus, those guys over there, they actually reached out to me and told me they had an extra ticket because I wouldn't have been able to afford to go. And they offered it to me, so I said, okay. I mean, I'm all up for learning about how other people think, and it was an activist education event. You know how I am about learning about that kind of stuff. So I went, and the speaker was interesting. I mean, he said that he regularly gives John McCain a hard time, but yet then they just kept going back to you can't leave the party. You know, you got to change it from within. And I've watched for years, especially in Pinellas County, and I'm going to get called out for this. I know I am, but whatever. I've seen it in our local rec. They have crushed all of my Liberty Patriot friends. They've crushed them. They've not allowed them in any leadership roles, and they just continually do it. And it's the elitists. You know, it's
how many? Let me ask. Well, let me ask.
Jack Latvalas and Congressman Youngs.
Yeah, and then let me ask you another question: is it how many people do you end up losing because of that? Like, how many people did you used to see around that tried that tactic are no longer even involved in politics anymore?
A lot of them have stepped back, have stepped away. And you know, I mean, I was a registered Republican since 1989, and I just switched in April. And I was raised in a Republican family, and then half my family is Blue Dog Democrat. So, you know, I've got a little bit of a mix there. But the Libertarian Party, to me, is actually the freest party that I've ever had any experience with.
Yeah, and it does see, at least, and I think that what you see from, you know, what you do see from leadership is, at least within that, is look, they want new people. That's the thing, that you want new ideas and new people in there, at least, and not, look, and it's not everybody. I mean, look, there's going to be some people that are the old school people that you know, don't want new people to be able to go in there and do things. I know when I first got in the party, you found a couple people like that, but we're in charge. They're not in charge. And, you know, good people, I think, can go and do that, especially if they focus, like, on their county. It's when you get involved in the state stuff or even the national stuff, a lot of, you know, there's a lot more at stake, I guess, and because of that, you got some more fighting that happens. But, you know, when it comes to your local area, and what I tell people to do is, look, stay in your neighborhood, man. Don't even go any further past that. Yeah. Anything past that is just icing on the cake. Just stay in your own area and try to change people that way. And I think you're seeing a lot of people that are moving in this direction. Like I said, you've had organizations that would talk about doing that through the GOP Tea Party groups that have totally now gone NPA. They haven't gone Libertarian, but they've gone NPA. And for me, that's perfectly okay. That means that I'm welcome there. You know, but I'm welcome as much as the guy that was running the Republican Party is welcome there. And I'm fine with the level playing field. I don't mind that at all. I'm perfectly okay with that.
I want it.
Yeah, because I want to be able to challenge people in the arena of ideas. Mm-hmm. I think that's where you do win, and those forums are supposed to be there for that. And Karina, you know, Karina's had her own journey. We've talked about this on several occasions, and Karina made her own journey. So go ahead, Karina.
Well, it's why I stepped up as secretary for the LLPDC, because I want to bring some of my experience in organizing Pinellas County, which is my county, and you know, build the affiliate, because I really want it to be a place where people can go and find out, get past the labels, like Danielle was saying, and learn what libertarianism is and what, you know, what we believe in. Because like you said, I mean, there's been studies, 80% of Americans agree on 80% of the issues. It's just the broken establishment, if you want to call them that, elitists that continue to go against what the people want.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, and it's it's nice to see this happening, and I know that it's nothing's going to happen overnight. And you have to be able to do the influencing in the areas in which you can.
Right.
And I believe that is happening. And it can happen in a nonpartisan way. It can happen through the Libertarian Party. Heck, if you wanted to be a Republican and just go to Tallahassee and yell at your politicians, you can do that too. But you have to do the right things, and I think that's the important part, is the actions have to be a certain way. And if you have a party that's telling you to be quiet and not to do... not to go up there and cause a ruckus up in Tallahassee, that you just need to go to your rec meeting and shut up. Well, then you realize that you're being handled.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be handled. You want to be free. And so you got to work towards that. Greg, what about you?
Well, we have to get past people, and we need to let them understand that they're free to use their voice, and they need to vote their voice instead of being afraid of voting outside of their so-called party and voting for principal candidates over the party line.
Yeah, and they do have to get past the blatant bias that is the media. I mean, we see this going on in Bill Young's race. Look, Lucas has been out there running. He's running a good campaign. He's out there working hard. Adam Smith knows exactly who this guy is, and yet when he writes an article about that race and mentions everybody in the world that's not running for the seat, and doesn't mention the one person that is running for the seat. And I think that it just goes to show. Well, it just goes to show you Adam Smith, though. I mean,
Right.
look, the guy is a. And again, it's not even that I don't consider these guys like Democrat hacks. I consider them establishment hacks. Like they believe in the establishment of either party, and they work only with those people. And anybody's trying to be an up and comer, they just call them names, make fun of them, whatever you want to do there. Which is sad to see, but I think that people themselves, again, they don't trust the media either. So they're losing readership left and right because of this.
Thank you guys for what you're doing. I appreciate it. Just shout out for anybody that doesn't know that there's going to be a march against Monsanto in St. Petersburg tomorrow at noon at City Hall.
Oh,
and
good.
the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County is going to have a tent down there. We're going to have a lot of information about the food labeling and how people can get involved. So
excellent.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to get involved in. I know there's going to be one in Tampa, also one in Collier County coming up this weekend. I think they're going to be all around the state and even around the country. So
yeah, I wish I could be there, but unfortunately, I am going to be on that panel discussion. So, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, you'll be at the students.
I don't get every opportunity in the world to do panel discussions. So when I do get that opportunity to do it, I go ahead and take advantage of it. So, but thanks, Karina. We appreciate everything that you do.
All right, talk to you guys later.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.
Yeah, I can't wait for this panel discussion. I've seen the questions too, and they're right up the alley. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
You're going into a discussion on, basically which party, what is the best route, and why do you choose the route that you've chosen, and kind of debate that issue, which I think is perfect for you. And I wish I could be there because that would be really fun to see, but I can't be there. But no, and I obviously I'm a libertarian. I want to grow the party. I'm a state officer, and I advocate for everyone that I can that believes in what we believe to join the party. But bigger than that, I would like us to see. I'd like it to. I think the labels, especially the two major party labels, are really kind of what's killing good representation, because the people who are going up there don't agree with us. They don't agree with the people. They're not really representing the people, and they think that they are because they won, when in all reality, a lot of times they're only winning because of the letter after their name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That happens all the time.
And in principle, and I do, and Karina said it, she's quoted the same poll that I always see. 80% of the people agree with us on ideals. They are libertarian. They just want to be left alone. They're rebellious. They don't want to be told what to do. But we get stuck in the labels where we're not being legislated that way because someone has convinced the public that you have to vote for the same letter that you have after your name. Like if you're a Republican, you have to vote Republican. And we're getting away from the principles where I would like to see elections where everything was nonpartisan and you couldn't know what party anyone was from.
I think part of the problem is that 80% of Americans are libertarians in a very general sense, but once you start talking about specific issues, you're going to find where they're not libertarian.
Right.
And you're going to find where they want the government to get involved here, they want the government to get involved there, and next thing you know, you've got liberals and conservatives, and they're not libertarians anymore. And what they thought they wanted of maximum freedom, individual liberty, all of that, once you get to the finer points and see what they really want to do about issues, they're really not. And that's how you get people like Bill Maher and Glenn Beck, who couldn't be further from each other ideologically, both saying they're libertarian. You can't be. You cannot have views that opposed and endorse that much government involvement, from the opposite ends and call yourself a libertarian.
I think, and this is only my opinion, is that the thing that we're not doing, that libertarians aren't doing, is we're not, when people say they want government involvement in something, we're not asking the follow-up question. And the follow-up question there would be, at what level do you want that to be done?
Right.
And I think if we started asking the question that way and started focusing on, well, let's say you did want the government to do something. Where do you want this done at? And have that argument, that discussion in more of a very clinical kind of civics way, where the principles and the ideology wasn't as much as, well, if you want to do this, this is where you do this at. I think if we started to do that, you'd find much more people in agreement with the libertarian platform. On a federal level, I think we have the most. I think on a statewide level, it would go down even less, and on a county level, it would go down even less than that. But I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but at the same time, I'll take that in lieu of, because I think that's actually how the country was set up. I think that the people that were the framers of this country had some inherent geniuses, and this is one of the geniuses that they had, which was almost like a state capitalism kind of thing. Like, let the state do those things that you think the government should be handled more with, and that way that gives you the freedom to move. I know we've talked about this before, but I think it's good to bring it up at this point. That's where we make a mistake at.
Well, unfortunately, the government has changed so much from the time of the founding of the country that we can't even do that anymore. It's not even legal to operate that way anymore.
Right.
Because, starting with Andrew Jackson, states pretty much lost their rights. I mean, when South Carolina stood up to the federal government and Andrew Jackson said, "I will bring the army in,"
Right.
and did.
Yeah.
That's
did.
when it all changed. And when the federal government said, "No, you're going to do what we say," and then obviously the Civil War, then things continue on. And in my opinion, we on this show, it has been spoken out a lot about different amendments. In my opinion, the 17th Amendment is the worst amendment that was ever passed, the most damaging to our form of government, and it is actually the most responsible for where we are right now. And everyone complains about special interests and lobbyists having so much control in Washington. You can thank the 17th Amendment for that. The 17th Amendment is solely responsible for taking the power out of the hands of the states and putting it in the hands of the special interests.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. And I think that, and I do agree with what you're saying, that when you get down to each individual issue, you're going to find where people aren't libertarian. But I think that a lot of that you see is because they've been sold on fear, that if the government doesn't provide it, what will happen? And they're so focused on the fear of, but what will happen if we don't have government, that they're not seeing that the solution could be no government. And I think that's where, that's going to be a hard one to ever overcome, because we have a government and a media that has realized how significant fear can be on the people and have exploited that to the maximum level, to where people are afraid to do anything without the government. Like, we saw the picture of this tiny little 3-foot fence with this family of 4 standing behind it, even though there was nothing holding them behind this fence. I mean, there was just an open field with a 3-foot fence in the middle of the open field, but yet they still stood behind it. It's because of that. They've been so ingrained in the fear of stepping outside of what the government has told them is allowed, that that's the pushback that we see on the issues.
Yeah, well, it's the same way that you're able to harness an elephant with a string. You start out, you put them in a chain, and you teach it that it can't go. And then, as it's learned, you can go to lower grade shackles, essentially, and eventually to the point where you can use a string to tie the elephant because, oh, hey, I'm tied up. I can't move, so I'm just not going to move.
Right.
Yeah.
He could totally break that string, but he's not going to.
Meanwhile, Gallup has done a poll. We talk about, the need for third parties or whatever. And this is a Gallup poll done, and it was just put out today. Perceived need for a third major U.S. political party. In your view, and this was the question that was asked, in your view, do the Republicans and Democrat parties do an adequate job of representing the American people, or do they do such a poor job that a third party is needed? So it's one or the other. Where do you think that the third party's at right now?
Well, I'm looking at the poll.
Not you. Greg, where do you think the number's at? The number of people in America saying a third party is needed.
I would say about 60%.
Have you seen the poll, Greg?
Wow.
No.
You were dead
on. If
on.
you were playing the prices right, you'd have won an extra
I'd have got the $500.
Yeah, you got it. You'd have got it. 60%. Who thinks that they're doing an adequate job? 26%. What did I say before? Well, you actually said 15%, so it's actually in between me and you. So let that 26% belong to the Democrat Republican parties. 60% go away. Go independent then.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, and this is the shit of it, is that the American people are totally with us, and they are looking for another party to step up and do something. All we have to do as libertarians is actually step up, start knocking on doors, start talking to our neighbors, getting them switched over, which is why the actions that the LP is going to take in 2014 is going to be so vital and so important. Because all we have to do is go out there and ask.
And I'm reading further down this poll. 52% of Republicans and 49% of Democrats believe that we need a third party. So 50% of the people in each party are so upset with their own party that they want another choice.
And 71% of the independents.
Right.
So that means 71% of the independents are looking for somewhere to go.
Yeah, exactly.
They want another party to look. I mean, they want another option on their. They may not want to join that party. They just want another option on their ballot. And one that has a shot at winning. Really comes down to having a shot at winning and trying to get it done, which is good. And again, this is the highest. 2004. Just to give you an instance, in 2004, that number that wanted a third party was 40%. Then it went to 48% in like the 06, just before 07. 07, it went up to 58%. In between 08 and 09, it was 47%. Then it went back up to 58% in 2010, almost to 2011. Then it stayed in the 52, 55, went back down to 46, and now it's up at 60. So you see this trend line, going this way, but it's hitting bigger ceilings each time.
Yeah.
And it's going even more and more and more, and it's going to get to a breaking point because people are pissed. People are pissed off, and I don't blame them for being pissed off.
I'm pissed off.
I'm not having a good time.
I'm not having any fun.
I'm not having any fun. I'm not having any fun.
Well, the whole Obamacare debate, with the government shutdown, it's all over Obamacare. And, it's really got me upset because I got something in the mail yesterday that I have a stack of bills that are piling up, medical bills, that my insurance company refuses to pay. That they keep telling me they're going to pay, and then they don't pay. And then the doctor's office comes to me, and I'm like, well, run it by the insurance company again. They told me they're going to pay it. And then they refuse to pay it. So yesterday I get a letter from a bill collector over one of these bills. And I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking back, when my wife was pregnant with our son, and what she had complications during pregnancy, had to have a surgery in the middle of her pregnancy. Then, she gave birth. We ended up paying for most of that, and we have insurance. We have insurance that's supposed to be good insurance. Everybody talks about how the insurance we have should be so great, but they pay nothing. Right. They refuse to pay our bills. So I pay, just for me, it's $300 a month for my insurance, and then they don't want to pay anything. So now what Obamacare is going to do is going to force us all to get into this racket. Right. They're going to force us all to buy from these insurance companies, the people who are not paying my bills. They are supposed to be paying my bills, and they are not. I pay my monthly premium on time. If I don't, they drop me. But what I pay that for is for them to cover me and help me with my medical bills, and they refuse to do that. And so now it is the insurance company that's making me poor. I am now broke because I have to keep up with these medical bills, and the insurance companies are supposed to pay it. and it's not happening.
And you're paying the insurance company.
And the way that they're going to fix the problem with healthcare is make everybody buy this shit? This is what's going to solve the problem? Are you kidding me? My father is sitting there with a 6-figure medical bill because he had cataracts. He was blind in one eye, almost blind in the other. He had to have the cataracts removed. So the eye surgeon says, well, while you're in there, we can go ahead and do LASIK and get your eyes fixed. For the first time in his life, he was going to be able to see without glasses. Insurance company approved it. They were going to cover it. They were going to pay for it. He goes in on the day of surgery. Between the time he walked into the office and the time he ended up on the table, he was dropped by his insurance company. They refused to cover it. Now he has a 6-figure bill that he will never be able to pay. He will die before he makes that much money. He's retired. He doesn't. Right. He is not going to be able to pay that. This is the system. The insurance companies have gotten together with the government and are forcing us into their game where they just want to screw us over. Anyone who understands how insurance works knows that it's a scam. Before Obamacare, I hated the insurance companies. Every insurance is the same as the insurance in blackjack. It's the sucker's bet. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're being forced into. We're being forced into the sucker's bet.
You just I mean, it works. By the way, hold on. What you just did works. I've never heard it referred to that way. And you are right. Insurance is totally the sucker's bet in blackjack. It is totally the sucker's bet.
It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, it is a crapshoot.
That's what they're doing. I would support a socialized single-payer system like Canada before I will support Obamacare. This is ridiculous.
That somebody actually asked that question last night?
Yeah. You asked that. Oh, no. Somebody
else asked that question last night. No, somebody asked that question last night. They said, which one's better, what Obamacare is or socialized medicine or single payer?
I'll take single payer any day over what they've done.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that the insurance companies don't have to pay out more. I mean, they're still, the basic coverage is going to be the 80-20 split, and it's 80-20 of people don't realize this about insurance. When they say that they're going to pay 80% of your healthcare costs and you're going to pay the 20%, what they don't tell you is that that's not 80% of, like, if the doctor sends you a bill for $100, their insurance is going to pay 80 of it. That's not what happens. No. They pay 80% of what they consider reasonable and customary charges. So if the doctor says, no, I charge $100 for an office visit, and the insurance company says, well, we only think that you should be charging $50, they'll only pay the 80% of the $50 and leave you with the rest of the bill.
Exactly. And that's how I'm getting screwed. That is exactly what's happening to me, and that's why they're refusing to pay the medical bills that I expected them to pay.
You got insurance for that reason.
Yes, the reason I have insurance is so I'm not paying everything out of pocket, and I am still paying everything out of pocket and paying the insurance company.
And if you'd have paid out of pocket, you'd have probably paid less anyway.
Yeah, and here's the thing: everyone involved in the medical industry repeats it over and over again. The biggest problems with healthcare costs in this country. Number one, government involvement. Number two, the insurance companies. How are we going to fix that problem? Let's get government involved with the insurance companies and make everybody buy it. That's really going to fix it? No doctor is going to come out and tell you that this is a great idea. No. They're going to say at least they're doing something, but they're not going to tell you it's a great idea. My mother works in medical billing and coding. She tells me all the time, what is wrong with this? Those are the people, you want to talk to the people who know what's going on and why healthcare costs are the way they are? Talk to the billers, talk to the coders. They're the ones who know what's going on. They're the ones who can tell you how the insurance companies come back and say, no, we're not paying this, and this is why. We're not paying what we're supposed to pay because you didn't put the period in the right place, or you gave us the wrong abbreviation, you gave us the wrong code. And it goes on and on and on. And the insurance companies do everything they can to get out of paying, but they're not going to let us get by with not paying our monthly bill, or they're going to drop us immediately. The doctors, the nurses, the people in the billing and the coding, the medical testing. A member of the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County. I've had this conversation with him many times. He is in medical testing. He does a very specialized testing, and he wants to open his own business doing that. He can't. Do you know why? The government has made the laws in such a way, guess who gets to determine whether or not you can open a new medical testing place in your area.
Your competition.
The competition. Are they going to approve you?
No,
Are they
of course
going to
not.
say, hey, yeah, we need more competition?
Yeah, let's go ahead and make that happen.
This is what happens when you put government in bed with these industries. That's why we advocate over and over and over again. It's not the business's fault. They're trying to do their business. You give the government the power to interfere with these businesses and play ball with these businesses. The businesses are going to buy legislatures
Right.
and have the legislatures work in their favor. So we're getting screwed here by the government power. We want to take the government power away so the government doesn't have enough power to control that on us.
Yeah.
And any kind of herbal or natural medicines is outlawed. Any doctor who advocates for that he's breaking the law. A doctor is not allowed to negotiate their own prices. So if you come in and this is just a doctor who is actually in the business of medicine to heal people, and you say, I only have $25, but I'm sick, he's not allowed to take it if he charged someone else $50. And actually, he's not allowed to negotiate anything different than Medicare prices or Medicaid prices. So whatever the government has said they will pay for something is what everybody is forced to pay. That or above. They cannot go under those prices. So it's complete manipulation by the government. And just an absolute, and a doctor can't even just be in the business of saving lives, because if they really believe in just saving lives and they say, well, you know what, $25 is better than nothing and this person needs my help, they're not allowed to do it. They're breaking the law. They're a criminal.
Yeah. And if you walk into a doctor's office nowadays, I mean, you guys probably remember 20, 30 years ago, you walk into a doctor's office, there was maybe half a dozen employees there tops.
Maybe.
You know, usually 3. You got your doctor, you got
The
his
nurse,
nurse,
the
and then the receptionist. You know, you might have a couple other people, depending on how big the practice is. Now you walk into a practice, there's a dozen people there just at the front. You know, and the overhead for these doctors is so incredible because of the government involvement, because of the insurance
And
companies.
malpractice insurance.
They have to pay so many people to deal. All it's about is staying on Medicare so Medicare actually pays them what they owe. Staying on the insurance companies so they actually pay what they owe.
Yeah.
It's not us. The patients are not the problem. The doctors are not the problem. The insurance companies and the government are the problem. And they refuse to pay.
And now
We are not allowed to say we will not pay, but the government and the insurance companies will. And now they're in bed together and they're forcing us to buy their product that is just going to screw us again.
Yeah.
I am so mad.
Yeah.
That's
Preach
a
it,
good
brother.
rant.
Preach it, man. Preach it, man. I love it. I love it all day long.
Greg had his first on-air rant.
I don't know if this is the first one.
Well, it's the first one since he's been like official,
a fixture of the
official of the a member of the show.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
definitely.
All right, well,
this is his first official
Congratulations.
rant.
Thank you.
I remember my first rant.
I remember your first rant.
I remember mine too, but it happened to have been the first show. All went downhill from there. So, well, there's been some that have been better than others. Ones that when I killed the mic, you know, and that was always a good one. And,
That was the first rant in the new studio.
I remember the rant I did when the lobbyists were walking down the street in Tallahassee. That was a kind of
That
a
was
fun
the rant that the FCC got us in trouble for.
That was a good rant.
That was.
I hate those guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, though. I got to tell you, I am really looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be North American regional conferences for Students for Liberty.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I'm glad to be able to do this. I think that they're going to like what I have to say. And again, I'm going to tell the truth, at least how I see it. And I think that by explaining it that way, I give the goods and the bad. I give the good and the bad for all of it. But I hope what's going to happen is people are going to listen and that they are going to understand where I'm coming from. And hopefully that adjusts their, what they think. So I'm hoping that it's going to work out pretty well. And I'm pretty sure that it will. But we'll see. We'll see. You guys got any parting words here for the last?
No, I think that I feel better. I feel like I vented a little, and I definitely feel like I've had a long rant, like it's been like 3 hours, so I feel a little better, a little more relieved. But not that it's over by any means, because I'm totally going after those guys. Like, they broke the law. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. So I'm glad.
And you guys done messed up because Danielle's like a pit bull.
Yeah.
Like Alex gets mad quick and he'll just roar at you, where I pretty much stay calm. But once I have put it in my mind to go after you, I'm relentless. I don't let up.
You poor bastards.
Yeah.
You poor bastards.
Here's the thing. They shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
They just shouldn't have done it. And they knew better, and they just didn't care. And that's perfectly fine. But the thing that they didn't understand, the thing that Scott Oliver and Mark Cross don't understand, is that I am very popular as a person in Campaign for Liberty. Mm-hmm. You guys may not like me, but the rest of the people do, because I back up what I'm doing with action. And you guys don't do that. You guys are still trying to hide and slide people. So I back up what I'm saying. I'm going to let those other organizations, the other county affiliates, know what you've done. And whatever their determination is going to be is what their determination is going to be. But you're going to lose people because of this. It's not my fault that you lost people. I'm only making you sleep in the bed that you wanted to lie in. And if that's what you wanted to be, you want to be a little GOP authoritarian, which is what they wanted to be, then you're going to have to deal with the ramifications of that. And if you change your ways and start embracing the nonpartisan status that you are supposed to, then things will work out well. You'll have no bigger ally than me. But you right now, you've ensured that I'm going to expose you and let the chips fall where they may. Great show. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody liked the show. And look, I'm sorry that I had to get this thing out there, but I had to get it out there, man. I just didn't have a choice at this point. They left me no other option than to give you a full explanation, especially because I just can't handle the talking behind my back like Cross has been doing. So we're letting the cat out of the bag on this stuff.
Now.
Yeah. And basically saying we're stealing stuff and just, it's crap all day long that they've done this, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore, and I'm not going to cover for them either. So you guys want to deal with this, and deal with me then. Website is 1787network.com. Next week we hopefully will be on the YouTube. We'll see how the beta test goes.
We're going to shoot for YouTube for next week. If it doesn't work out, we'll definitely be here. We'll definitely be on one way or another. We're going to shoot for YouTube, though.
All right, we're shooting for YouTube next week. Again, guys, appreciate you guys listening in. Listen in next week. You've been listening to Liberty Underground.
Bye.
Eastbound and down, load it up and truck it. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound up, watch old bandit run. Old Smoke has got them ears on, he's hot on your trail. He ain't gonna